Well, hello everyone and welcome in. We got a program tonight by a former Jehovah's Witness out of Tennessee. Well, he's originally from Rhode Island. His name is Eric, and he's got a great program. He calls it Awakening After the Watchtower. So we're looking forward to Eric coming in. In fact, let's bring him in right now and say hello to Eric. Let's bring him on stage. Hello, Eric.
Hey, how you doing, everyone?
Well, we got so many people coming in tonight, Eric. I don't know if it's because it's cold across the country or what it is, but a lot of people coming into the Six Queens tonight. So I'm going to cut you loose, and then I'm going to rearrange the phone lines, and they're going to put up the link to how people can come on your program tonight on the stream. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. So let's bring you up here. I'm going to make it solo layout. And you won't hear me, but I'm going to change the phone line so it's no problems. Okay, you got it.
Alrighty. Thank you. Thanks, Rick. How
Yep.
you doing tonight, everyone? You're on with me, Eric Kubler, also known as Ricky Bobby. So it's time to shake and bake, everybody. Let's have a good time tonight. Let's see. I hope you all have a good Saturday night. We're going to talk about kind of the theme of my show, Awakening After the Watchtower. Um, there seems to be a great awakening happening right now in all aspects of life. And will the governing body be able to get away with their nonsense? But that's what we're going to talk about and have a couple things to look up. But before we do, let's see who's in the comments section here. Uh, let's see. We'll start with Dallas. Hello. We got Rebecca Wise, Shaq Composer, my friend Jerry, Mark Crispin. Am I saying that right? John Marciano, Elaine Brain Drain, hello. Let's see here. Beverly Harward, how you doing, hon? And Big Mac. Cool. We got everybody, I think. And if I missed anyone, I apologize. Um, Hold on 1 second. I'm just trying to fix something here. All right. Anyways, found a couple things that I wanted to discuss. I was just going to do one because I try not to bombard you guys with Jehovah's Witness doctrine. I know that's fun. But both today's text for Saturday, December 7th, and yesterday's text for Friday, December 6th, were a message of doom and fear. Um, and a lot of some contradiction, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But they start with Friday and they say, they will eat up her flesh and completely burn her with fire. Revelation 17:16. So then they're going to say the political elements of this world will soon turn on Babylon the Great, the world empire of false religion. This action will mark the beginning of the Great Tribulation. Will this result in a flood of new ones deciding to turn to the worship of Jehovah? No. To the contrary, Revelation chapter 6 shows that the critical time, the criti- that the critical times people I'm sorry, I must have wrote that down wrong. Shows at that critical time, people who are not serving Jehovah will seek protection from the political and commercial systems of this world, which are compared to mountains. So I read the chapter of Revelation, and first of all, it contradicts another scripture, and I didn't look it up, but I know it where it says that there would be an influx, basically, of there would be a number so great you wouldn't be able to count. And the only reason why I'm bringing up biblical stuff is not to dive into the scriptures at all, is just to show what are they up to here. So they're claiming that, um, and that they're going to latch onto the political and commercial systems, and then it talks about the mountains. Now I looked at that scripture, and I think it was verse 12 through 17. It's talking about what I would think, what their scriptures are talking about is probably, well, it says straight up the kings and princes and the wealthy ones, right? What are the Jehovah's Witnesses? They're the wealthy ones. There are certain people that are going to be in big trouble with God. Um, the witnesses are completely twisting this and just making a false narrative. And who's to say what these scriptures even mean? Because Revelation is a hell of a book to try to figure out. But anyways, I won't dive into it too much further. It goes on to say, since these people will not take a stand in favor of God's kingdom, Jehovah will consider them to be opposers. Truly, Jehovah's servants will stand out as different. I'm sorry. Truly, Jehovah's faithful servants will stand out as different during that desperate time of tribulation, which is another just. It's just a. It's such a narcissistic attitude for them to just think that they're God's special people. It goes on to say they will still be the only group of people on earth serving Jehovah God and refusing to give their support to the wild beasts. What a claim! And I'm sorry if I've killed my audience to like talking about the scriptures a little bit, but that's not my point. The point just being is how they're just twisting something that isn't even there, and they're making it all about them. It really ticked me off when I read this. None of this is ever going to come true, and not for nothing. I would imagine if there is, I do believe in it, but if Armageddon comes or say a great tribulation, aren't we all going to know? You think we need Jehovah's Witnesses to go, "Oh, we're here too"? Like everybody is going to know. Everybody is going to know that something huge happened if it happens. And that's the thing. It's just the witnesses they have set it up to where God is love and He's only love, and He's going to protect them because He's their people. Well, guess what? God didn't treat His people, the Israelites, so very well. I mean, it's just they just have a very feel good vibe of religion. And I know Christ died for our sins, but none of us should be shocked if we have to suffer to get to the kingdom. Um, but anyways, that's not my point bringing that up. Now I'm going to get into today's text, and they make another really bold statement. They bring up Revelation 14:6. He had everlasting good news to declare to those who dwell on the earth, to every nation, tribe, and tongue and people. Now notice this because this confuses the heck out of me. The good news of the kingdom is not the only message that God's people are to declare. They also need to support the work of the angels who are described in Revelation chapters 8 through 10. These angels announce a series of woes for those who for those who reject God's kingdom. Thus, Jehovah's Witnesses have been declaring a judgment message likened to hailfire and revealing God's judgments on the various elements of Satan's wicked world. So, there's been like discussion, and I'm cutting it short here for a second, that Jehovah's Witnesses were going to do that hailstone message at some point, possibly in the future. They've said that in their literature. Are they saying now that they're doing it? Because if I go back and read it, it says, thus Jehovah's Witnesses have been declaring a judgment message, not past tense or not future tense. Excuse me, not future tense. It's saying present tense. Have been declaring a judgment message. Since when? Or do they count this as a judgment message just knocking on the doors? I found this really bizarre, and I read in their Bible Revelations chapter 8 through 10, and we're not going to get into it, but it has nothing to do with what they're talking about. It's the trumpet blasts and all that, and who the heck can figure out some guy, John? I'm not being disrespectful, but it was like, was he on a mushroom trip? I mean, dragons and who can understand what the heck that book is talking about? And I'm sure there's some scholars that know what it's talking about or think they do. But to me, if the book of Revelation means to be revealed, that we don't know what it's saying. But I don't know. I think there's strength in not knowing what it means. So I'm not telling you what it means. I'm just saying it doesn't mean what they're saying. But anyways, these angels announce a series of woes for those who reject God's kingdom. Thus, Jehovah's Witnesses have been declaring sorry, I didn't back up enough, but I'll just keep going. Been declaring a judgment message likened to hailfire and revealing God's judgments on the various elements of Satan's wicked world. People need to know that the end is near so that they can make drastic changes in their lives and survive Jehovah's day of anger. But this message is not popular. Declaring it calls for courage on our part. During the Great Tribulation, the final judgment message will become more hard hitting. Well, they keep pushing this hailstone message now, and it kind of contradicts what they were saying in the previous text, and that's why in the last text they're saying that will this result in a flood of new ones deciding to turn to the worship of Jehovah? No, on the contrary. Revelation chapter 6 shows that the critical time people who are not serving Jehovah will seek protection from the political systems in this world and compared to the mountains. The people who have done evil to this world, like the governing body, are going to go to the mountains. That's what it's talking. And this is what I'm going to tie in with tonight. Maybe it's my own little conspiracy, and it is. But I think that Jehovah's Witnesses are the ones, one of the ones that are going to be hiding to these mountains. They're the ones that are deceiving, and there's a lot of deceiving going on in our media, with our politicians, with our doctors. Not all of them, but some of the medical field is very much our food industry. We have, especially our religion, and I feel like I know he's just a Hollywood celebrity, but he made a good point, and it kind of came true. Was it Griffin? No, it wasn't Eddie Griffin. It was Cat Williams, and he was saying that all will be revealed in 2024. It'll probably be 2025 when it all will be revealed. But I think we're about to find out a lot of really dark things in this world, and I don't think Jehovah's Witnesses are going to escape that. And I think that these people who I look at it as a metaphor. These people who have done such serious sins, um, it's not even a sin; it's a crime. It's crimes against humanity. They're going to want to feel like they're going to be in the mountains when they're exposed. You know, not to be. I'm trying to lighten the mood a little bit, maybe tell a joke at the same time. But as Macho Man Randy Savage says, the cream always rises to the top. But it's true. The cream, the scum, whatever. The truth rises to the top. And I think we're. I think this ties into my show. The Great Awakening is happening. Awakening after the Watchtower. Awakening after the lies that we've lived this whole life. Um, you know, saying something is good for you when it's not. We've heard that time and time again. We found out that milk does not do a body good as far as strong bones. It actually makes your bones brittle. Just stupid things like that. But that's not the big awakening. The big awakenings are all the uh, all of the demonic things happening in Hollywood and all the demonic things happening in Watchtower. And it's great news that these countries in Europe are coming down on them because you know what? I think it was on Joe and Fran's show, was it? Or no, it wasn't Joe and Fran's show. It was Vern and Ruby. They were talking about they showed Caleb XJW Caleb video of his, and he was just saying how if we can the things that we can do to bring Watchtower down, and getting the governments to look into them and that they don't deserve their money is the biggest thing for each person that lives in a different country for all of us. Because if we go after Watchtower's money, this is the only reason why they're in it. Their true colors would show. You think this organization gives a damn about anybody? We've talked about it tonight on Rick's show. They don't. They've never cared. They don't care about the homeless. They didn't care. I saw the bad attitude amongst the witnesses with the homeless, especially when we went downtown Providence. You know, Providence, Rhode Island. I think that's something a lot of people probably did here. Sorry, I'm not looking at the comments section. I've been talking for a while, but yeah, downtown Providence, a lot of homelessness, and I'd see how the brothers and sisters would treat them, you know. Um, and when they'd ask for money, it's like they'd hand them a tract instead. One guy told us, "Thanks, I'll wipe my ass with this," which we both actually found really funny and laughed. But anyways, yeah, that I don't think Watchtower can get away with it because they're trying to get away with it, aren't they? Do I have a guest on here? I'm not paying attention. Oh, that's just Rick. Okay, just Rick. But anyways, what do you guys think? What do you think's going to happen? If anybody's on the phones, but if not, I'll keep going. I'm sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. Let's see what Johnny has to say. Uh, oh, he's just talking about coffee. Oh, hey, Johnny the Greek, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the show. Mary 777, I haven't seen you before. 1874, 1914, 1924, 1945, 1975, certainly in the 80s before 2000, and I'm believing that people are still naive as we were. Technology isn't helping them, but the opposite. I agree. And you know what? We can even add some false prophecies to that list, Mary. Let's see here. How about, I don't have the year, but how about 4, maybe 5, I mean, it could be going on 6 years ago. Stephen Letts said, so undoubtedly that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part, shortly before the last days of the last days. Yeah, that was 5 years ago. Is that a false prophecy? How short of a time are we talking about? If we're at the final, so, and I say this to people on Quora, what part of the end of the system of things are we in now? Are we in the final part? Undoubtedly, the last of the last days, shortly before the end of the system of the end of the end of the end. I mean, come on. How many? It's actually to repeat yourself because you're going to have to step it up, right? It shows how these guys are full of BS. They're full of shit. But good point, Mary. And I agree. Well, what about there was another one too around that time period of COVID. I don't have it in front of me. It'd be a hard find because it was a governing body assistant or helper or somebody that you don't see very often. And he said that we were in the threshold of paradise. And I'm pretty sure I knew what a threshold was, but I'm like, it's a doorway, right? But yeah, it's like an opening or to an entrance to somewhere. And it's like, really? Do these guys not understand the scriptures at all? Paradise. We're not even in hardships, well, true hardships like World War III or anything like that yet. Well, maybe we are, but we're not in the Great Tribulation. We're not in the chaos. There's a lot of madness to come before paradise. So that's quite a statement to say. The threshold of paradise. To me, that's um, another false prophecy, if you will, or another false promise. They just keep doing it. It seems like they can't help themselves. I think the one of the biggest things that keeps coming back to me, and it's been talked about tonight too, guys, is that Rick was kept saying and other people that they're con artists, and that what's his name, Jarez was a con artist. They all are. They're all con artists. Um, they're all conning you. They're all deceiving you willingly and knowingly. Um, but yeah, anyways, that's what I've thought of what's going on in the Watchtower. And let's see, millions living now will never die. Good point, Tim. I'll put that on the highlight. What is that? What they millions living? Actually, they changed it. It used to be millions living will never die, and then now they changed it to millions living may never die. That's what they say. That's an actual thing because I had a Jehovah's Witness tell me that on Quora, and I looked it up on the jw.org. But it's interesting that they slid the may in there so that they no longer have it. Dude, they even said themselves, "Oh, we're not an organization run by lawyers." That was self projection. They absolutely are. Just ignore that and say, "Okay, yep, they're an organization run by lawyers," because that was a lawyer thing. If we sneak may in, they'll never know. Um, but it's very clever. They that's what they do. That's what they do. These guys scheme. They're not even real businessmen. I mean, maybe now they are that they brought in. Is his name Jody something? The real estate mogul guy. I wonder what his net worth is. His company. He has a I think he has a multi-million-dollar company. But isn't it interesting that these governing body members live in Tuxedo Park, New York, a very nice community, and at least two of them are millionaires that we know of, because Stephen Lett definitely is. And anybody out there can correct me if I'm wrong. There might be more than, I'm sure there's more than two millionaire Jehovah's Witnesses. But that new guy, he definitely is worth some money too. Um, Big Rick has Mike on and Susan. Anyways, but yeah, that's what I've been. That's what I found in the awakes. Oh, the awakes in the daily text, and it just seems like they're always focusing on fear mongering. It seems like that they just can't get away from it. I guess it's all they have at this point, and they want to keep the people in fear. And who knows? Maybe they're going to really do something with this Ramapo project. Um, they it might be their last like stitch effort to make a good rake in the buck, to score really big. Read Watchtower January 2025 about sex, and then tell us if you still see them alive. I don't know what you're talking about. Mary 77. But anyways, what do you guys think? Is there anyone on the phone? What are you thinking about subjects tonight, or do you have your own to bring up? I've been talking for a little bit, but I can keep talking. All right, nobody on the phone. It's a slow night tonight, huh? We're not shaking and baking, or everybody is shaking and baking on a Saturday night. Well, I hope everyone's having a good night. Um, let's see here. Sorry, guys, just going on to my next notes. But yeah, when the another thing I was going to bring up too, um, when the Jehovah's Witnesses and their Hailstone message, um, when it doesn't come through, because it's not going to come through the way they think it is at all. In fact, the very thing that Watchtower was preaching right here about in Revelation about Babylon the Great, that very well could be about them. I mean, we all know that they're a false religion, and we all know that we all know what they're up to. We all know that they have deceived in order to become millionaires. I mean, it's quite disgusting. Um, the Dick Borghi claims a lot. I hear him and Constance, or at least Dick, I think he says that one of them drives a Bentley, or he knows some. Was it Johnny the Bethelite maybe that leaked that? One of the governing body members. I mean, it's very possible. When I talk to people on Quora, I posed a question and I said, how is it that Jehovah's Witnesses typically tend to live so poor and reject a wealthy lifestyle, whereas the governing body live in life of luxury? And they're telling me that they live in dorms. And it's like, do you guys actually believe that? I mean, is that a real thing? You really think that y'all are living in that they're all living in dorms? That is insanity. We know that's not. I mean, and they have the nicest suits, and even the lady, she must have felt self conscious about it. She said, who knows? Some of those suits could have been donated. The mental gymnastics these people are willing to do to just you know um, the mental gymnastics they're willing to do to keep their faith, I guess, which is reminds me of a lyric to a song where he says, "You." What does he say? He says, "You built your mansion upon a rock, just to find it sinking in the sand." And that's how I view Watchtower's faith. They think they built it on a rock. They call it the truth, but it's built on sand and it's sinking. Hey, Eli, how you doing?
Why, hello, hello. How's everyone doing today?
Hey, not bad. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, taking care of the kiddos and whatnot. They're getting sick. Um,
Oh no,
yeah,
that time of year.
it's that time when one gets sick, they all get sick.
You and I are both getting one of these. Do you want yours hot or cold?
I'll take my vitamin C packet hot, please, young lady. Thank you. I just called my wife young lady. I don't know. Anyways, so question. I would like to propose a question to everyone in the comments in the chats.
Sure.
I guess it's a two-part question. So holidays are here, right? We're all kind of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. How are we? And I know Rick had spoken about it earlier about Christmas and how the organization kind of like screws us up mentally about Christmas. And really, it has affected my wife and I. Like, my wife, not former Jehovah's Witness, and she's like, I love Christmas. Christmas is awesome. What are we doing? And I'm just like, yeah, all right.
Because we have no
So
emotional connection to it.
I have no emotional connection to it, correct?
Yeah, that's what
And
it
so
is.
it's like, how are my other brothers and sisters doing around the holiday times? And the second, or another question is, how do we navigate former Jehovah's Witnesses with children and our former, like, or their grandma and grandpa who are still in the religion?
Yeah, good questions. Me personally, I'll go first. I the holidays are just. I mean, I don't really have anybody in my life other than my wife, and it's just whatever with us because it just doesn't mean anything to us. But I have no problem saying Merry Christmas. And it actually feels good to say it to people and then say it back to you. It. I don't know why the witnesses made it demonized it so much
Oh man,
because they do pagan practices like this fellowshipping. So I'd rather do
it
a
was
pagan practice
so
that
weird
brings
growing
love
up.
than
Yeah, it
that.
was so weird when people would be like, "Merry Christmas," and then I'd kind of like say it under my breath, like "Merry Christmas," and like run off. Like,
Or if
it
you
was
were a
so
square Jehovah's
weird.
Witness, you would make a stand and say, "I am a Jehovah's Witness, and we don't celebrate birthdays. I mean,
Right, that's
Christmas."
right. You get your
And
soapbox and you put it, you carry it around with you. Listen to me, you pagan, members of Christendom.
yeah, right.
Well, it's they, you are correct. They kind of like project because they're like, hey guys, we're just FYI, we're not run by lawyers. Just letting you know.
Right.
Like no one. I
Also,
mean,
the governing body will never lie to you. That was another
yes,
suspicious one.
the governing body never lie to you. Don't worry, guys. We'll never lie to you. That's okay. Not to be too political, but when like the current president is starting to pardon all these people who have not been convicted of anything, and you're like, wait, but why?
Yeah.
Wait a
He
minute.
said he wasn't going to pardon his son. Made it clear he's
Yeah.
pardoned.
No, but it was like speculated that he's going to pardon people that have not even been investigated. And it's like, wait a minute. Just
Yeah.
like the Jehovah's Witnesses, we'll never. Hey guys, we'll never. We're not run by lawyers. I'm just telling you that right now. Just sign this disclosure. We're not run by lawyers.
That's funny when you say it out loud, isn't it?
Yeah,
Cracks you up. They reveal themselves without well, just by talking.
yeah. And um, I will talk about my uh issue with now that I am a father. I've been my child's 10, or my daughter's
Okay.
10, and my son is a year. He'll be 2, and on Thursday. Wow, he's gonna be 2 on Thursday. Anyways, ugh.
Cool. Happy birthday.
How could you? No. Well, and yeah. So we really like it's still very strange to me because if it wasn't for my children, their grandchildren, I don't think I would have really a relationship with my parents, because every time they're here or we talk, it's like, oh, how's the weather? Oh, yeah, how are things? It's not anything related with any, no philosophical discussions, no political discussions. It's literally how's the weather.
It's
And
yeah, it's nothing deep and just
nothing
shallow
deep,
talk.
nothing. Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's how the religion is. Unfortunately,
Mm.
it doesn't allow you to connect to your fellow human in a more intimate way, not in that, the sexual way, but on an intellectual way or an emotional way even. Yeah, they claim to have that in their church or in their religion, but the moment you start questioning the dogma of, or the doctrine of the Jehovah's Witnesses, even the history, for crying out loud, oh no, you're out. You're viewed as a, what is it? Spiritually weak.
Yep, exactly.
And again, these guys, they're projecting, and like and they can do that when they have like their own sense of words. Like they make up their own. They don't make up their own words, but they make up their own definitions for words.
Oh, they definitely do.
And
In
like
fact, I've
that
had
doesn't make.
witnesses.
Go ahead.
I've had witnesses tell me that a cult is like a satanic organization. And I'm like, not necessarily. It's not daggers and cloaks like you think it is. A
Right.
cult is much different than that. It's a cult mentality, and it usually has. I know the definition says that it has a leader, but it can have more than one leader. It doesn't have to be one leader.
Right.
And we
And
have 11 right now, or not us.
mhm,
They're not our
the,
leaders.
the governing body, right? And so it's like, I don't know. And for me, at least, when I became an Orthodox Christian, I started getting, I started getting crosses, right? And I, different types of crosses, and I'd, mount them on my wall because it's like art decor. Or I would get icons of saints, and it's kind of been growing. So every time my parents come over to see the kids, they get more and more uncomfortable. I'm like, why? What's wrong with this picture of Jesus Christ on a cross, Mom?
Do you ever worry about your parents trying to like witness to your kids, like trying to indoctrinate them?
Not anymore. Not
No,
anymore. We had to have that discussion really early.
you have to lay the law down.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and I basically asked him. I was like, so let's just reverse this. Would you because my parents are like first generation Jehovah's Witness. So my
Okay.
grandmother was not. I think she was
Okay.
like Pentecostal or something, or Baptist. I was like, would you let grandma take us to a Baptist church? And they're like, absolutely not. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah.
There
Yep.
you go.
Yep.
But just because they claim they
There
have
you
the
go.
truth, they can do it. And that's where you need to, I would encourage, parents who are, maybe younger parents who have children. Yeah. Be very upfront with your Jehovah's Witness parents and tell them what is and what is not acceptable, period.
I know
Yeah,
my
they
brother
were even
has.
having my daughter
Okay.
watch Caleb for a little bit, and I was like, I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
banned in my brother's house with his daughter. Yeah, my parents aren't allowed to play that.
Hmm.
The cartoon is actually really evil. I mean, cartoons. It's so bad what they're doing to children. I don't have to tell the audience; they all know. But even the whole like him having to throw out his toy. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I remember that episode. In fact, I think that's the only episode that I saw.
Garlock, what is it? Gorlock, the warrior wizard, something like that.
Yeah, the warrior,
Sporlock,
and
Sporlock, the warrior wizard. Poor
it's the warrior
Sporlock,
with. Yeah.
the
Well, I
warrior
mean,
and a wizard. Man, usually you're one or the other.
yeah. Well, dude, how cool is that? Oh, I'm a warrior wizard. Oh, I actually remember my sister. My sister, when she was younger, she's still a Jehovah's Witness. This was like early 2000s, right?
Mhm.
And she had to throw away her Lord of the Rings DVDs because I guess
Ouch.
Lord of the Rings was really big back in the early 2000s, and damn it, it's still good.
Yeah, I
But
thought they were excellent movies
oh man, actually, I got them.
and books. I read the books too.
Actually, I watched them in high definition not too long ago. They actually held up quite well, But yeah, she had to get rid of that because it was, I guess the society had put a little article about the Lord of the Rings or mysticism and stuff like that. It's like,
They
dude,
did really. They attacked Lord of the Rings specifically. Wow.
I think so. I'm not sure. I was already out
Or
of it.
Maybe a brother gave a talk or something
Yeah,
and brought it
I
up
remember my
because that
sister was
happens too.
quite
Because they
upset.
usually don't bring up titles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't
I
want to
think
get
afraid
sued.
of lawsuits.
Surprise, surprise! We're definitely not governed by lawyers.
Right.
Just saying, guys. Yeah, man. I don't know. And really, we can start looking at the Jehovah's Witnesses organization. Like, we can start looking at it by its fruits, and it's not producing its fruits. It's just not.
Good point.
Like, I hate to say it, but like this form of religion, along with the Mormons, not to knock on the Mormons too much, but it's still very damning. Just
Mm-hmm.
the dogma itself, the doctrines that they have produced are not producing fruit. They're not producing members. There's not a zeal towards the quote unquote truth. And I guess for them, the less people they have in the religion is some sort of a testimony of that. We're the truth. Like, no, I don't think it works that way. But if you can define truth your own way, why not? Sure.
And that's what they've done. They're a bunch of mentally ill men. They really are. They think they don't have an accounting to men on this earth, just to God, which they do have an accounting to God, and they're not going to like it. But yeah, these guys think that their poop doesn't stink, and that's why I brought it up tonight. Do they think they're going to get away with it? Because they're not. They ultimately, eventually, they're just not going to. It's just going to become a big nothing burger. Their promise of paradise and all that. But yeah, anyways, good point, Eli. You always have good comments too. I appreciate you, man. Oh, I got another guest on. Uh, oh, here we go. We got El Paisano, huh? El Paisano in the house. Our good friend Jesse Gonzalez. What's up, buddy?
Unmute.
Are you muted?
I think I'm. Am
There
I
you
on?
go.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on.
How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
Real good. Real
No
good.
work tonight?
Yeah. I just got off.
Okay, good. Good for you.
Hey, I don't know if in the comments section anybody was talking. I know you guys are talking about some Watchtower, but nobody was talking about jw.org, huh? The website.
No, not really. What in particular?
You know, lately, I mean, I follow it all the time for the GG for GB. I'm the head of research.
Okay, in the research department.
Yeah, I'm in the Department of Government Efficiency, doggy style.
Okay.
Doji.
All right. You're like Elon.
Yeah, and we're trying to cut the waste in Watchtower. So we're thinking about firing everybody at Tuxedo Park. We heard what you were saying about all them rented suits and they live in dorms.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to cut those out. Different things. But on a serious note, have you been reading jw.org? Do you go in there regularly?
I go on there. I haven't read anything in particular that other than the two daily texts that got to me. I didn't look up at anything that they were saying. Other than that, I noticed that a lot of their messages were like kind of doom and gloom, like all negative. But
Yeah.
nothing jumped out at me in particular. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, yesterday, Barack Obama, he gave a speech. It was either yesterday, Friday, or Thursday. And I guess the word is projection. Everybody's talking about projection. When you accuse your enemy of the things you're doing. And he accused the Republicans of wanting to put people in jail, use the Department of Justice. I mean, he just went on. It was one of the most disgusting lie and satanic. If Satan is the father of the lie, he went for it. Accused all the half of the country of doing the things that they were doing, the last 4 years. But it reminded me of jw.org. If you go in there, like there's an article, one of the top 4 articles that they have, because they have the top article, then they have 3 lesser ones. And one of them is talking about politics. And it says, why are politics so corrosive or divisive? And I got so mad when I Reddit because they're the most divisive people on the planet. They divide families all over the earth, in the United States and Mexico and every country of the planet. They divide families, and they have the gall to talk about the politics. Politicians, even though they're against each other, they still go in the same room and debate each other. They still go to lunch together. These people are one of the most and every article you read at jw.org, we could do about a 1 hour rant. We can make Mike and Kim look like amateurs. We can go into a eternal rant just reading the jw.org. And that's like, I don't see a lot of comments on your websites or Rick talking about jw.org. I mean, the lies that come out of there are legion. That's what I wanted to share.
It's really bad. In fact, on jw.org, they are kind of, I don't know if it's a boast or not, but they do talk about what they've done for what or not really what they've done, but just what's happened with the hurricanes. And then they lightly said that they've done some work out there, but I don't believe it, and I think it's a scam. And I think that they have done work in the past, and they're using what they did friggin' 20 years ago, and like, oh yeah, we've always been gracious, but they never took care of the worldly people. They only took care of themselves, and then they are after that insurance check. It's all a big nothing burger. These guys want to pretend like they are loving and caring, and they do things, but they do nothing. And I think they get off on it, Jesse. I think, and Eli, I think they get off on the con. Can you believe we pulled that off? Ooh, ooh, pop the champagne on the con. Can you believe we pulled that off?
Well,
Yeah.
Exactly.
think of this. I remember when 9/11 happened, and a lot of the churches in that area, including the church I attend to now, were out there helping people with their physical needs, and that's important. They were also helping people with their spiritual needs. But I remember the Watchtower is like, oh well, we have to reprint. First of all, this is something that they've never done before. We have to reprint the terrorism awake.
Yeah.
And I think like the year before they did the Terrorism Awake magazine, and they're like, oh, we've never done this before, folks. We're bringing it back. And then that's what they were handing out to the people who were victims of 9/11. And then I remember just like the conversation my father had and the amongst the other elders and the people there, and it's like this attitude of, can you believe that these churches of Christendom were out there handing out bottles of water and blankets to people? We were giving them the good news. And it's like, really? Like this is there in their brain helping people.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
point.
Hey, you know what? There's something I saw on I go in there and I read the jw.org. You gotta forgive me if I'm bad association about this, but I got so many things that because I love read. I think I'm addicted to it like crack cocaine. I just love that jw.org. I like reading it because it's like playing baseball. It's like, and they're just throwing me a fastball down the middle, and I'm like Pete Rose, and I'm just hitting it out of the park. Another one is if you go to jw.org news, go to news, and there's a picture where they're in Chile 2024. And I think that's where they took their first year-end picture. And you see like about 20 brothers, and it says Jehovah's Witness 2024. But if you look at that picture, everybody's dressed like in Chile attire, like you would wear, kind of like your sexy shirt. And everybody,
I saw your comment.
They're all good-looking people. They're all not one fat person, not one ugly person. They look like all metrosexual models, and they're all pioneers. But what I told Gilbert, me and Gilbert did a video about it. If you look at the choreograph on it, it looks like the Paris. Remember in the Olympics, you had that gay blue guy, and they had a picture of all these people, and they tried to mimic the Last Supper. It looks like it's the same choreographer. And either that or Watchtower has the same spirit of the world. So the spirit of the world that took that picture in the Paris Olympics, The Watchtower has that spirit. You know, they preach that they are no part of the world, but even their photography mimics the world. Even their photography mimics the world. They are so much part of the world. They can't see it. The picture
Well, they
looks
used
like
a porn star's. They used a porn star from the '70s picture, didn't they? In the wake or something. Didn't that happen, Jesse?
yeah, it was that girl
I
was in the
mean,
water.
yeah. How'd they know? How'd they know that picture existed? You're not supposed to look at porn.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. It was from like a German magazine, a German skin flick
Yeah,
magazine.
and it caught up to them. I think she sued them, right?
Wow. For royalties?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, maybe not. But I heard something about that story, and that it's been too long. That's an old story. These guys, man, they thought, well, nobody's ever gonna know, right?
Right. And you know what? Something that's coming out right now, the Congressional Committee just did an investigation. You could do a Google search. These are facts. This is on the United States Congressional Record. This was in the news this week. They did a 500-word report on the origins of the COVID-19. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it. I'm not talking about the jabby yabby, just the because it's from the Congressional Record, the United States Congressional Record. And basically, what the Congress is saying is that what all the conspiracy theories were saying about it is all true. Everything is coming out. And so this is from the United States Congress. This is not misinformation, disinformation, no lying. These are just facts that the United States Congress is putting out to date. And how did Jehovah fall for it? Jehovah all-knowing. How did he fall for it? How did he not know it was from the Wuhan lab? How did he not know it was man-made? How did he not know that social distancing was not going to work? How did Jehovah fall for all this? And you won't see nothing. Now, the world news at jw.org, they will never, ever, ever print that up in the world news. Go, oops, guys, I'm wrong. Like Joe Rogan, he talked about it on his podcast yesterday. But we're talking about the Jehovah's Witness because we're ex-Jehovah's Witness space. He was talking about the media, and he singled out Rachel Maddow. And he goes, hey, an apology's in order. You called us liars. You called us all these bad words. Just a simple, I'm sorry. And same thing with Jehovah. Can't he just say, hey, I'm sorry. We were wrong about this. We went along with scaring little children to death, closing the schools and everything. So those are the things, the articles that we notice on jw.org will never, ever, ever come out with. They do superficial stuff.
They do, but then they'll just use everything to spin their narrative. The end is getting close. Oh, look, is World War III here? They've been saying that forever.
But you know what? They've
One thing
changed.
that's interesting that happened is, did you hear Bill Maher wants to quit? Because he said he's going to quit. That's what he said. He doesn't want to deal with another 4 years of complaining about Trump. And you know what? I think a lot of these liberals are realizing that the American people voted, and we don't want this garbage anymore that we have. We want our country back, And the same with, I hope that when Rick was talking about a mutiny, I hope that it comes to that. I hope people almost say, you've made so many changes. We just want our religion back. We want our families back. We don't want this anymore, because this organization, it wasn't. It had potential to be loving, but it proved false to its power. And there were signs of love in it, but like the more that we kept listening to the governing body, they were that a bad association that spoils useful habits. And the more that we listened to them, and the more that we bought in and took notes at the assembly and got indoctrinated, the more we became like the governing body, callous, cold, unloving, unsympathetic, unempathetic, just all of the bad characteristics. And when we fight against them, we don't gel anymore. And I feel like that's what's happened. The goodness has left because of the bad
I
association.
would have to disagree. I think
Yeah? What do
from
you
the
think?
very beginning, because in their doctrine, that's the only doctrine that I've seen, or the only religion that I've seen. But I don't really pay attention to a whole lot of other religions. that in their doctrine it tells you to break away from your family. It's in their doctrine. You know, the whole
No,
disfellowship
I'm
thing,
not saying the
the
governing
shunning.
body. I'm saying the rank and file. That they used to be good. They tried, but the
Right, but
longer that they
when
were in it, they got corrupted, and because it went from like, disfellowship people in the 80s and 90s. It wasn't like it got how it got into the 2010s and 20s, and it got worse and worse and worse because it was a false thing that they were doing. But
right.
like, so they got good people and they corrupted them. Is my point. That's basically it.
Mm,
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
yeah, no, I see what you're saying is, but like to be a Jehovah's Witness is to
Hmm.
believe in their doctrine, is to believe
Yeah,
what the
true.
society. Okay, Andrew, relax, buddy. is to believe and agree. Hold on, my son's freaking out.
I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, he's
So
correct.
yeah, so from the very get go, you have to agree with like this is why when people say they're
You
Catholic.
already went down the wrong road. You're saying, yeah.
Right, right. So when people say they're
Yeah.
Catholic, oh, yeah, I'm a Catholic, but I don't really agree with what Pope Francis says. I'm like, you really a Catholic then, bro?
And something interesting too. Are you really Catholic? Eli gives a great point.
He's
I think
Orthodox.
that's what we apostates are doing.
No,
For
I know what
example,
you meant.
the Jehovah's Witnesses in the 1980s when we grew up, when the Protestant denomination did something wrong, when the Pope John Paul II, I remember in 1982 when he visited the United States, the Watchtower and the Live Forever book, they went after him hard. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, anytime a Christian denomination did anything wrong, for example, the use of the word peace and security, they went after the churches hard. The use of the word church, the use of the word Christmas, the use of the word they know the pagan origins of everything. The other day, the government says, the new government coming in says, we're going to find out who the non-governmental organizations are in the human trafficking into the United States. And even churches are going to be investigated. Do you think that the Watchtower, JW.org, would have the courage, just like they went after Pope John Paul in 1982, just like they went after every denomination all our lives? Anytime any Christian organization did anything wrong, Jehovah's Witnesses were right there to beat them. Now that the human trafficking, we know that non-governmental organizations were trafficking dollars and human lives, the Watchtower says nothing. And I keep saying that. Why is Watchtower not
yeah.
saying anything? They use
Well,
Jesus' name to traffic human beings into the United States, maybe selling human body. Who knows? Only God knows what they were doing with these people.
yeah.
And the Watchtower says nothing.
hmm You would think like
There's a lot of
that they would
suspicion
want to
of
fight
their.
against that,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh, at first we're all talking over each other, and then we got quiet. Um,
I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry too. I didn't mean to talk over. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yeah, how they're quiet. They don't say nothing. Their silence is killer.
Oh, uh, there's silence, but then they do talk in the wrong places, or when they were encouraging the jab. That's a political thing, and they say they're not political, but they were like, well, hey, 99% of the Bethelites do it. I mean, what is that? Yeah, and it just, I really did reject at first the conspiracy of that Watchtower was founded by the Illuminati or Freemasonry. And I know Barbara Anderson doesn't believe that. I have to, after a long time of me denying it too, I have to think that actually they do, because the deep state doesn't want you to own guns. How does the governing body feel about guns? They don't want you owning them, except for hunters and like Maine, Canada. Well, Canada's got strict gun laws. But anyways, what else is it? They're pro-vaccine. They're not pro-life, really. I mean, they're not pro-abortion, but they tell you not
No,
to have a family in the system
yeah,
of
they
things.
are
I mean,
not
this is
pro life.
all this is all the teachings of the Illuminati.
Yeah,
This is
they
what
are
our
not
deep
pro
state.
life at
No, they're
all.
not.
Like
No.
it's all remember, it's all for the next life. right?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
even remember
Good
like
point.
articles and other discussions when I was a kid about, you know, oh, why don't you go and go to Bethel when you're a young man? Because, you know, it's harder to travel and pioneer with children and this family and responsibilities. Just go.
Hmm.
It's like,
Amen.
and it's like that is the complete opposite of what what Christianity talks about, you know. And it's like, but it's all for the next life. You'll be rewarded in the next life. Like that is uh, deep state stuff for sure. But it's also not Haley's comment. It's one of those death cults where everyone kind of just drank the Kool Aid.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, what were they? Yeah, Haley's comment. Yeah, the death. They were underneath the kitchen sink. Yeah.
Something like it was one of those, and you know, someone will correct us, but they're not pro-life. Yeah, they're not pro-choice. They're not like abortion good,
Yeah.
but if you look at some of the other religious organizations out there, the Catholics, Protestants do it, even us Orthodox, we go and protest and say, look, we cannot have, you know,
Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate. Somebody
Heaven's
said
Gate.
it.
That's what it is. We can't have abortion.
Heaven's Gate.
It's not a godly thing to do. Yeah, we understand the nuances, but the thought of just killing an unborn child is something that is not a it's not a godly thought to have. And the Jehovah's Witnesses don't go against that. They don't do anything against that. They kind of just like, you know.
You know, me and Gilbert, we debate about this when we talk almost every night, and into the wee hours of the morning. No, just kidding. Sounds romantic, huh? But anyways, no, we fight about this a lot. We don't know anything about Masonic or Illuminati. We're ignorant on that subject, but we respect everybody's opinion on it. We do. But what we know is that Jesus talked about by its fruits you will know. And and all of the fruits come out with the deep state. All of the fruits come out with the Masonic and the Illuminati. So even though maybe like Barbara Anderson, we respect her knowledge dearly, and we would never ever say that she's wrong. We would never say that you're wrong. We don't believe that. But everybody
I'm not
brings
saying
something
that
good
either.
yeah, but at the end of the day, the deep state and the Jehovah's Witnesses are so closely related. The United Nations, for example, if you read the JW.org, you get a steady stream of United Nations quote. You would think that that's one of its only sources Jehovah has. It can't quote Rand Paul or Ron Paul on economics. It quotes the World Monetary System. It can't quote a doctor, any doctor in the planet. It quotes the World Health Organization. All of its sources, and I challenge everybody to read JW.org. They get their news source from the United Nations and their talking points. So maybe they don't have the same origins, but they have the same fruit.
Again, this is a tinfoil point, but you mean to tell me that the government doesn't pay Jehovah's Witnesses what they pay them to influence the people in a bad way? Just like we clearly saw with the Hollywood with the election, they were trying
No,
to influence it a certain, but they
yeah,
didn't care who
that's
won the election. They don't give a crap. They're paid to
yeah.
stick up for their whatever side is paying them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? So we had an issue with this started right as the military operation in Ukraine happened, or the issue in Ukraine. It's actually been happening earlier too, but yes, the CIA has been infiltrating Orthodox churches and Catholic churches and Protestant churches. Like, are we not to assume that they're not going to somehow influence the Jehovah's Witnesses? Like, the Jehovah's Witnesses are just like not gonna. No, we're gonna stay out of this one. Absolutely not.
Well, let me build on what you said, Eli, and I support what you said, because when I was a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, we had a fundamentalist right-wing bent. I'm not talking about politics, but we had a fundamentalist bent in the Jehovah's Witness. They would go after Pope John Paul II. They would they would talk about all the biblical things. But something happened in the early 2000s where they mirrored left-wing causes. So that would kind of support what you were saying about the infiltration. Something happened. The men turned metrosexual. I remember back in the 80s and 70s and 60s, the men were men. They looked like John Wayne. Now they all look like Barack Obama, and they just look feminized versions of what I remember growing up. I remember growing up in the Spanish congregation where most of our elders were World War II and Korean War veterans. These guys were just mean-ass elders. They would just thump you. They were hardcore, conservative, valued people. And now they're all feminized versions of men.
Hey, Jesse, what do you think of Dehydrated Nurse's question?
I didn't read it. What does it say?
I'll read it to you. Is it true Watchtower gets paid for each Bethelite and who got jabbed? Excuse me.
Well, you know what? One of the things I believe in conspiracy theories is this. We as Americans have a right to question. We are naturally suspicious of everything. But because they hide everything from us, we ask questions. So I think it's only natural to ask. Yesterday or the day before, one of the great Democrat politicians, statesmen, I think James Carville, they're calling for an audit of of Kamala Harris's campaign. And one of the things I noticed he said was there became a lot of millionaires out of this campaign because they were doing what you were saying. They were paying people millions and millions of dollars for influence. So this thing about the jabby yabby, we know millions of dollars got spent doing that. So it's natural for us to ask, was Watchtower involved? We just want to know. But they have no transparency. These people are locked down tighter than the Soviet Union was.
I'll tell you, they may not be benefiting financially from it per se, but they definitely played ball because that is what they did to a lot of these churches and a lot of these organizations. I remember a friend of mine, he was going to seminary to be a priest for the Greek archdiocese. And the government put pressure on the Greek archdiocese. Hey, make sure your students have the jab. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. So they kicked him out. And so now he had to go to where is he now? He's in the Russian archdiocese. But even if the Jehovah's Witnesses weren't getting money, let's say, they definitely were getting some sort of incentive to have everyone be on the same page and play ball. Get the jab. Hey, this is loving for your brother. You don't want to get him sick. The science is real. All that.
Weren't they giving away cheeseburgers and cigarettes or whatever to the people for the jab? So if they were doing that, I mean, what are they doing for big organizations like Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah. Well, the Krispy Kreme was like, here's a free donut. Wiener Smith was like, here's a
Something
free
like
hot dog.
yeah.
I'm like, how is that healthy for you, bro? Like, hello?
Because they don't care about us.
My neighbor is a Jehovah's Witness, and he's the brother in charge, the city overseer, and he has like 45 electricians. And I have an air conditioning shop next door, and I have like 15 techs. But I have a smaller shop, and in his shop they were all Jehovah's Witnesses, and they were all wearing the mask religiously, like Eli says. In my shop next door, I had a sign that if you wore a mask, please don't come in. So I would kick you out of my shop if you wore a mask. And I discriminated against people wearing the mask. I didn't want to have nothing to do with it. I didn't want to have customers that wore the mask. I didn't want to work for them because these people were very violent sometimes. They were not mentally stable. They were so afraid that it was dangerous working around people that were masked out. And I talked to an electrician at breakfast one day, and he said all of the Jehovah's Witnesses that were all jabbed. And he refused to take the jab. It was a young Mexican immigrant. He was an electrical engineer, and he was very young. He's probably about 25, and he was telling he's not a Jehovah's Witness. And they laid off 2 people, and the 2 people they laid off were not jabbed. They only laid off non-jab people. So, like, that goes to question, why were the Jehovah's Witness so sticklers for all the COVID rules? This came from their organization, top down, all the way out to the field. They follow these laws 100%. So in essence, Dr. Fauci was almost their messiah. Because remember what Stephen Lett said? This is the last days of the last days, right before the last day of the last day. They really believed it. They really believed what Stephen Lett said.
Of
All
course.
of them.
Yeah.
They really did think it was they. What's the word? Like they. I guess if I say it like that, that's rated R or rated NC-17 or whatever. Sorry, guys. I come from an auto body background, and everybody just says things so harshly. They jumped the gun. They got all excited. You know, they prematured
Yeah.
because they heard pestilence. They heard pestilence, and they said, "Oh, that's it."
Oh,
And
I
they didn't allow.
remember when when the whole thing kicked off in 2020. I think my mom sent me a verse from Daniel,
Oh, brother.
right? And I was like, wow, yeah, that's what the book of Daniel says. That's crazy, isn't it? Because like I think when 2020 happened, they were ready, bro. They were, oh man, they were salivating.
Yes, yes, agreed. They thought that was it, and then Stephen Lett just added fuel to the fire. Yeah.
And now, if we get another, pandemic, whatever, they're gonna do it all over again. They're gonna get excited all over again. If
But you
we
know
go
what?
into if something bad happens, we go into World War III. They're gonna claim that again too. And at some point, um, it's almost like if you see like your destination like 2 miles down the road, right? You're a little kid, and you're like, "We're here, we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here." It's like, well, we're not here yet. And you keep saying, "We're here, we're here, we're here, we're here," and then eventually you are there. It's like it doesn't make you right, or maybe 2 miles was too short, 10 miles. But either way, you guys know what I'm saying. They just and they're not going to. They're predicting in their literature that the angels are all gathered around the witnesses. It ain't going to go down like that. They're going to be persecuted. If we're all going to be persecuted, they're there with us. They're no different.
Yes, I agree. And you know what? One of the great things about the pandemic was I tell my wife that all the time when we go out to lunch or go out, is that for 4 years I didn't have to see a Jehovah's Witness in my city. I had the whole city to myself. I can go out. I could do anything. I could fornicate. I can commit adultery. I could go smoke marijuana. I could do anything. There was no Jehovah's Witness there to catch me. They were all bunkered down. There was no ratting. They lived in perpetual fear in my city. I don't know how it was in your city, but in my city, they were locked down like rats.
I don't know how it was really because I was disfellowshipped in a new town in Tennessee when I'm from Rhode Island. But I will say that when we were disfellowshipped here in Tennessee, and we were awake, but we were trying to get reinstated to be PMOs just to get the mark off of us and have our families back. That was it. We were never going to attend a single meeting. We didn't believe in it anymore. At this point, we already knew that they were a cult. That wasn't the case. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah, they're pretty hardcore now. They don't let you. I forgot what we were talking about. I'm sorry. In the detail, I messed up. What were we saying?
About the city, how they didn't come out. They were just not
Oh
visible.
yeah. So we're trying to get reinstated, and I guess they are paranoid and very locked down because this was COVID. So we're making meetings during COVID through the
Zoom.
what were they using? Not FaceTime, whatever it's called.
Zoom.
Zoom, thank you. They were using Zoom, or we were using Zoom, and we would just have the thing on, and then I would be watching Lloyd Evans or something, or whatever, or even you guys. I think I was watching Dan Angela at that time. But yeah, I wasn't. Well, neither of us were watching that. We were just going through the motions, and then when it came time to get reinstated, plenty of time went by, and they said no, and I said why, and they said because. of COVID, we can't meet face to face. I said, then let's do it through Zoom. No, we can't do that. And I'm like, okay, are you disfellowshipping right now? And they didn't say nothing, because if you're disfellowshipping right now, but you won't reinstate, if the angels rejoice when someone's returning, and you're letting the sniffles get in the way of me getting my life back, right? Because this is a life saving work. And then, they told me to calm down and blah, blah, blah. And then some time went by, and I wrote a text message to him, and I said, any change? I'm like, can we meet at a Starbucks? And he said, no. And I said, this really pisses me off. Well, guess what? I got a phone call from them. Now I've been labeled as abusive speech for saying I'm pissed off
Did,
the way
did,
they're handling the reinstatement issue. I'm like,
did
no
they just
reinstatements during COVID. What kind of religion is this?
did they did they just
So that was it.
hate
I
speech you,
never.
bro? They're like, you're bullying.
They told me I had a bad attitude and that I was using not hate speech, but that I was using abusive speech. And I'm like, because I said piss. I'm like,
Right.
dude, if they only
And
knew,
it's
because
like,
I didn't talk to them to that point. I wanted to call him up and be like, you want to hear hate? You want to hear hate speech, or do you want to hear abusive speech? Because I'll show you your bleep 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 bleep.
yeah, abusive. Like, what does that even mean?
Oh, and they throw scriptures at me as he did this all through a text message, and he threw scriptures at me through it, and I'm like, this is such crap, and I had no desire to return. And then Desiree tried one more time, and I've already told my story a million times, but she got reinstated and then said something she shouldn't have to her mother in a text message that got copy and pasted, and they stopped her from getting reinstated. They canceled the announcement,
Yeah,
but
I'm telling you.
yeah,
See, that's it's in their doctrine to like not be with your family. Like, what religion tells you don't be with your family, dude?
I know, right?
Really?
Excellent point.
Your own family?
Yeah.
Excellent
Like,
point.
don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. In the Orthodox Church, yeah, we excommunicate, but like that's because we've like tried to correct them, and through their own pride, they do not want to listen to correction, right? And it's not that we don't talk to them or anything. We just don't commune them. Like, they don't come to the chalice.
They
and
don't have
drink communion.
responsibilities in the church, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
they're
no
not.
big deal. That's
We
not,
don't
that's not
shun
really a
them.
shunning.
In fact, we
Yeah.
continue to talk to them and pray for them, and continue to have them over, but we just don't like not talk to them.
That's why what Eli just said, I've always said it, that the Jehovah's Witnesses were communists. They remind me of Marxists, in the sense that during the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, and in the study of Marx and Lenin, they had to eliminate the old man. The old man had to go away. Every vestiges of Western civilization, or what we consider society, Western society, had to be destroyed. The family, the schools, the churches, everything. And it correlates with the Jehovah's Witness doctrine, what Eli is talking about, the destruction of the family, the taking away the power. For example, look at the women in the Jehovah's Witnesses. They go to the elders before they go to their husbands. Gilbert, my brother, he calls it spiritual adultery, because the man should be the head of the house. No, not in the Jehovah's Witness organization. The elders come above the husband.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended.
I saw my father
I was
lose his
gonna say,
headship
bro,
from the elders. Sorry. I
Um,
saw my father lose his headship from the elders, and it was a fight, because he didn't go down. Well, hold on. He went down swinging, but he eventually just gave up. But he fought him for years, and he eventually just gave in, and now he's an obedient little sheep.
mm-hmm.
And you know another thing, Eric, in
What's that?
jw.org, one of the things that we're not seeing is right now, I really believe, I don't belong to no church. I don't know about Eli or yourself, but it's real hard. I go to every church. I'll go to the Catholic Church, Baptist Church, and I like going to ethnic churches. Like, I like going to the Mexican Catholic Church. They have great music. I like going to the Southern Baptist, the Black Church that's close to my work. Beautiful music, just beautiful, beautiful people. But I can't be a member of no church, but I believe in God the Father. And I think a lot of us Jehovah's Witnesses, we've been so beat up that we're afraid to be a member of any church.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Are you guys like that?
No, you are
Totally.
not incorrect. You are not
Nope.
incorrect.
You hit the nail on the head.
I had to deprogram myself for a long time in order to become an Orthodox Christian because they are hierarchical. There is a structure of people that you ought to listen to. But that's not because it's a control thing. It's because that's how Christ established the order in on earth. Now, that doesn't mean us laity don't have responsibilities and um, have say in the church, but when it comes to our like doctrine, um, it's very clear that it's from Christ, and we cannot change it. Unlike the Jehovah's Witnesses, they can change their
Hi, Ruby.
doctrine. In fact, a lot of other even the Catholics can change their doctrine on a whim. The Jehovah's Witnesses, it's like New Light type of doctrine, I believe it's called.
Hey, what we were saying about men rule, women drool, keep it down, okay? Because Ruby's in the house.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, Ruby, hello, Ruby.
Hi guys, how you doing? How
Ruby,
are you?
we were just talking about guy stuff, but we'll stop.
Oh, okay.
What's with all the misogyny, huh? Why did you have to inherit
Yeah.
this, Ruby?
No more misogyny.
I'm not a part of this. I was welcoming you, and you got to get your beans busted the moment you walk in. Digest
I'm
it.
a misogynist. Yes, women
was
should
Eli.
not drive. Anyways, what?
It was Eli.
Well, technically, I'm a misogynist from Mikey and Kim too, because Jesus was, and I try to follow his footsteps, even though I don't do a good job. What am I missing, Jesse?
Really?
Jesus was a misogynist.
Yeah, he said Jesus, but then in the same breath, he says Jesus didn't exist. So I'm not sure which it is.
Oh
How
man,
are you
wow.
doing tonight, hon?
Doing good. Just supporting your show. Love your show.
Hey, you and Vern did a really good show together Friday. I was there with you guys, even if I wasn't commenting much.
Yeah. No, yeah.
You did a great job with showing Caleb's video and like just talking about that and stuff and exposing what we can do uh, to for our governments to wake up and take
Yeah.
their money.
Yep. I think that's the way to go. So I'm happy that Extra W Caleb did it himself, even
Mm,
though he's in Mexico. And then we should start doing that as well. We should start sending letters to our representatives so that we can get the ball rolling at least. I mean, I don't even know if it's going to work, but at least we do something, like I feel
yeah,
better knowing that I'm doing something.
it's at some point. I don't think like we need to do what we need to do in our activism still and keep it up. But at some point, I think we're going to build a big enough snowball. You know what I mean? And then it's going to go down the hill and it's going to turn into a gigantic snowball, and we won't have to do any more work after that. The government will take over and push the rest of it down and bulldoze them to nothing. Because I think they're useful idiots to the government, but when they don't become useful idiots anymore and they're more of a bother, uh, and the more that we expose and put the light on that, make
Right.
the governing body squirm like worms in the sun.
And you know what? Something I think too, not so much doing away with Watchtower, but I think that they're at a point of irrelevancy. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to die today, the world would not know that they were even here. They didn't leave this planet better. They broke up families like what Eli and I were talking about. They broke up families all over the planet. They did
Yep.
not better the human experience. At least in the 1960s and 1970s, they were leading people to Jesus. They were leading people to the Bible. Now it's all about, Jesus taught us that we have no greater love than one who gives his life for his brother. They'll throw their brother out for their life. They're the opposite of Jesus. They'll sacrifice their brother for their little acre in paradise earth. Totally opposite. So I believe that what they believe in right now has led them to a form of irrelevancy. The sad thing is there's an idiot born every day that'll fall.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So even though all of their prophecies are proven false, 1975, everything we talked about, they'll go to door and they'll find some idiot.
Right. But
Or,
you know what gets me, and I wrote this on Twitter, that how many more like basic rights do they have to violate until we start standing up against them? They violate the freedom of speech by calling us apostates for speaking out. They violated my freedom of religion because they shunned me just because I walked into a church. They violate by shunning. Like the whole policy of shunning is
Mm-hmm.
isolation and treating you different than the rest. Is psychological violence.
Yeah. My parents didn't even go to my son's baptism. Like, well, they didn't go to my baptism either. Like, or I think my wife and I, we got remarried in the church for our 10-year anniversary. And they would have gone, but it was in the church. And you know how that is, Eli. It was like, oh, okay.
Right. So this is what I write to people, and I hope that JWs can see themselves in the mirror, because if I walk into a church, I'm still Christian, right? So why did I have to lose my entire family just because I wanted to get to know Jesus Christ in a different way? Why would I have to lose my so-called Christian family members if I'm still a Christian? So that's what woke me up, that I was never gonna be good enough. I was never gonna be, set up to where they wanted me to be. I just had to do my own thing and go my own way. And I had to lose everybody in the process of that. And that was the price that I had to pay. So when they say, oh, I'm gonna put Jehovah, my relationship with Jehovah above everything else, well, I say the same thing. I'm going to put my relationship with Jesus Christ above anybody or whoever.
Right.
So it's like who's right and who's wrong. It doesn't feel right to me at all.
Well, see that, and that is what I think I was saying that last time we were speaking, is as growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, being born into the religion, you are told that we have the truth, right? Jehovah chose us as his organization. We have the truth. All the other religions are part of Christendom,
Yep.
and they are incorrect. Like not even a kernel of truth, like fundamentally incorrect. Everything about them, and they gaslight you. And so now that you realize, hey, the Jehovah's Witnesses are not correct, but you can't like use anything for a point of reference because you don't know what's truth anymore, because
Yep.
it's kind of shattered your perception of what truth is, and then you become like relative, like everything's relative. You could just do whatever. You're almost like a hippie at some point. It's just do whatever, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only thing I don't like. Like I wrote, isn't God supposed to be reuniting families? Aren't we supposed to be in agreement if we all agree that Jesus existed, etc.? So why so much division? It doesn't make sense to me. So that's just like my way of knowing that they're wrong, because I would never disassociate myself from my fellow Christian brother or sister. So it
Yeah,
kind of hurts, but I gotta do what I gotta do. I can't
right.
be looking at other people and what they're doing in
And
their life. I gotta
this
focus
is
on myself.
this is what I had said earlier, Ruby. I don't know if you were here, but like the Jehovah's Witnesses, they're the only ones that have a doctrine of like disfellowshipping, of
Right,
shunning
right.
and not talking to anyone. That's not even real. That's like we don't even do that in the Orthodox Church. Like there's like, in fact, the moment you have a God child, even if he apostatizes, he's still your godchild, and you need to like be praying for him and reaching out to him and taking care of him, uh, whether it be physically or spiritually or emotionally. Like if his parents left him or whatever, like as a godparent, you are still responsible for him.
Right,
So
right.
there is like there is no disfellowshipping. Like even if you were to leave, well, tough, you're still with us. Like, like if your
And-
son said, "Hey, Dad, I'm out of here. I'm leaving." You're like, "Okay, you're still my kid." Like, what do you mean?
You know what me and Gilbert always answered that question is, if I were to go to Mexico or Russia or France and I would demand my Fifth Amendment right to privacy, would I be able to get it?
No.
They would go, no, because the Fifth Amendment doesn't apply in Mexico. The Fifth Amendment doesn't apply, or your First Amendment.
Mhm.
The same thing when we debate Christian principles and Christian values. The reason why we don't find them in the Jehovah's Witnesses is because they're not Christian. It's like being in a foreign
Absolutely.
land. Yeah, you got to realize they're not a Christian church. They even
Right.
reject the word church. They use the word organization. Right there, they're showing you they're political. Who the hell is a organization?
Right. Right. You know
that-
what? I wanted to ask your opinion, everybody on the panel and in the chat. It's been bothering me for a really long time that I want to convert. I want to get baptized. I want to share that happiness. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy I was able to move on after 10 years of waking up from the cult. And I was thinking, should I formally disassociate before getting baptized? I wanted to get your opinion on that.
What are the stakes?
I mean, I don't even know. It's
Like,
just
like
I was gonna say,
What are
no.
the What are the consequences of your actions of doing
Yeah.
it?
I don't think there
Like,
would be
will you
any
lose? Will you
consequences.
lose anything? Like, what
No,
about your
because she's
relationship with
already
your
lost
mom?
it by going to another church.
Exactly, but I was thinking it just bothers me because it feels like you're officiating something. You know what I mean? Like you're making a
Well,
point.
you know what? I think if it helps you heal and move on to say, you know what, this part of this chapter in my life is done, then yeah, you can formally write a letter to the organization saying I'm no longer to be associated with the Jehovah's Witnesses and to be, lose my number. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it to them. You don't owe them nothing. Not even, remember that Pink Floyd song? Not even worth a quick grin, not
No,
even a laugh. But
it's
I
not
would-
for them; it's for her. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
I
saying?
agree. I agree. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying do it more publicly.
Mhm.
Do it in the local newspaper or on social media. Rent something somewhere where a lot of,
Well, she's
like,
already on social media.
yeah,
But
but
Yeah.
put it somewhere public.
maybe
Put it
make a
somewhere
YouTube
public.
video about it, or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I plan on doing. And I mean, I've been
Oh,
debating this
Gigi in the
myself.
house.
Yeah, Gigi said to go out grizzly. No, I agree with you guys. It just bothers me because in the back of it, the way I feel about it is that I was born into that. I didn't choose it.
Mhm.
So if I'm not like living that anymore and I choose orthodoxy and I get baptized and I just move on with my life in that way, it kind of makes me feel like something was missing. Like, cause I don't know, it just makes me feel weird. So I've been asking everybody their opinion. I don't think I really care too much for it. I was just asking like if that would help move on or if that was something that any other XJW did before they converted into something else. So I just wanted to ask, you guys.
Got some good answers.
Um,
Good suggestions.
I think also, like, do you want to make a public statement to everybody that was associated that knew you from Watchtower, because that'll seal the deal. But I don't think much will change because you're probably already either on apostate watch or an apostate, right?
Yeah.
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 So
I
if it
probably
makes
am.
you feel better, then do it. Um, just put the letter in just so that you know that you're not, like, so that everybody knows you're not associated with them if that's how you feel. My wife and I are like really, really bad apostates. We got marked like a F. We don't need to we don't need to tell them how they feel about us. I've left voicemails and told off elders over the phone. In fact, you know how there's when you Google search something, there's a review.
Yeah.
I left a really bad review for my Kingdom Hall,
That's good.
and the surrounding Kingdom Halls of the neighborhood, and I put some uncomfortable. I'm just gonna swear. Sorry, Rick. I put some uncomfortable friggin' shit out there. I put the truth of who some brothers are, of who my parents are, the abuse, the sexual abuse. I threw it all out there. Why would you ever go to worship our God Jehovah in a place that is so corrupt? I called out individual elders. I don't know what kind of
Good.
backlash that has done to me, but I don't care. I'm fed up with these people, and in my own way, I had to make my mark like a dog pissing on the corner. I had to say this is unacceptable. I'm not going to let anybody, because I also read the comment sections, and even a friend of mine, Dustin Antonelli, he leaves a positive feedback and says, "Oh, they don't pass the plate and stuff like that, like other churches." He's never been to other churches. This guy's been to J Dub his whole life. You don't freaking know. He's freaking lying. I got so mad,
Well,
so I just put the honest, blunt truth out there. And maybe some people say, "Oh, gee, Eric, you should go easier." And I didn't swear in that comment, but other on Quora, sometimes I swear, and people say I shouldn't. But no, I think it's important sometimes to be intense about our message, because otherwise, who's going to take you seriously if you don't wake people up, you know, within balance? But I don't know. Sorry, but that's something I did to try to that was my rebellion against Watchtower. And it wasn't just that Kingdom
yeah.
Hall, the Warren one. I said, "Gee, don't go to this Kingdom Hall. They've had more child sex abuse problems than any of the Kingdom Hall and the surrounding areas in all of New England. This place
Wow.
was bad. I mean, like there was at least two or three father elders that were molesting their kids, all the other kids in the congregation, their own family members. I mean, it was incest. That congregation was evil.
Wow.
A lot of my friends and myself included got molested in that congregation. Just a nightmare. It was a nightmare. Kingdom Hall. Some of these men are in prison, just to so people know, but that they didn't get away with
Wow.
it completely. But yeah, major child sex abuse problem in Warren, Rhode Island.
Wow. I wanted to ask you also, Eric, and everybody else, do you think I should tell my mom? Because I kind of felt like every single issue that I've ever had with that religion was more personal than the religion itself. You know what I mean? Like it was just like family arguments and just like a battle between me and my mom. I never had an issue with the religion, and I've said that many times before that the only reason why I woke up was from outside influence. Like I never saw the hypocrisy for myself. It wasn't until later on that somebody, kind of forced me to wake up that this is a cult. So I never
Mm,
felt any bad blood towards Watchtower only until my family started treating me differently. So, tomorrow I'm going to church and I'm going to talk about the catechumen classes that I've been taking for about a year now. And I might, get baptized really soon. But I was thinking, do you think I should tell my mom?
Yes.
You know what? Can I throw in my 5 cents?
Yeah.
Do you love your mom dearly?
So, remember, Jesse, when I told you that I couldn't say that I love them back because of how evil they are and
mm,
how I don't hate, but I don't love either. It's a very weird feeling for me. And I kind of just leave it the way it is because I know if I touch that area, it's going to get bad for me. And I don't want to go down there again. You know what I mean? Like, I
fair
lost
enough.
that respect and that endearment, and like to me, she doesn't exist as a mother to me anymore. So it's a weird feeling for me, and I know I still have to get over some of those things, but I feel like if I'm gonna do this, I should put our differences aside and at least let her know that I'm gonna actually go through with what I intended on doing a year ago, but because
Yeah.
of her harshness and her shunning, it didn't allow me.
Aw,
Hmm. And then
I'm sorry,
you can.
sweetie. I know we're all so broken from the
Oh yeah.
mistreatment. Hey, you know what, Ruby? I feel your pain so much because I hate to use this word, but I won't be as good as you. I despise my mother, and I despise my father, because of their thinking and what happened, what Watchtower did to them, because they made our parents unloving. When the scripture says that in the time of the end there'd be no natural affection, well, Jehovah's Witnesses prove that. And even though you're so upset with your mom and me too, we love them deep down inside because we're passionate people. And I think that you being a Puerto Rican and me mixed Italian and other um, nationalities, especially the Italian side, we're in Puerto Ricans, they're very family orientated, and even if your family does you wrong, you still love them to death. It's very hard to let that go, and I'm getting a little emotional myself. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, honey. It's
Let
tough.
let
Jeez,
me add this.
it's
Oh,
almost like Christ created the family and doesn't want it to be separated like that. Jeez, it's almost like the things that we are experiencing are. I mean, it is normal for us to feel the love and want to be next and close to our parents, but it's like this. I don't know. It's almost like this crappy religion gave put this stuff in our parents' brains, and now they shunned us, and now from decades and decades of abuse, whether it be physical, verbal, or emotional abuse, like how are we not to be upset? I mean, I don't I have the same emotions. I've kind of gotten through them a lot, but yeah, the emotions are still there. I still love my parents. It would be the most beautiful thing in the world to see my parents walk into a church and with and again just join together and be a family. But
Hey,
it
Ruby,
is tough.
Yeah,
does
yeah.
your mom have any contact with you at all, or the kids?
We only through text. Like if I text her,
Okay.
then she'll text me back. But it's like it's almost as if I know that I can't even share that happiness even if I wanted to, because I know
Oh
how
yeah,
she's what
yeah,
she's going to say. I know how she's going to feel. So it's like, do I even want to
Can I
go
give
through
you a
that?
little bit of advice?
Yeah.
Because you have any contact with her at all, and I have no contact with my mom, this is my advice to you. You can take it or leave it. It means nothing. It's just an opinion. Just kill her with kindness and show that you're a true Christian without having to tell her that you got baptized to be a true Christian. Show her with your works when she's not being so nice to you. Just always drown her with love until she's sick of being sick of the love that you show her. You know what I mean? And not that you have to like show her that love, but like if you're in a situation where you could either be a jerk right back or just show her love, and I'm probably not the person
hmm
to say this because I'll be hypocritical a little bit, but I have done it at times. But try to kill her with kindness, and
yeah,
like that will be your Christian like attitude shining forth more than the Jehovah's Witness attitude could ever do, because
yeah,
they're not true Christians. They're not.
yeah.
They're
I
counterfeit.
will
They're
never.
counterfeit
I will.
Christians.
I will never really be upset
And
or
your love's
mad at
Ruby,
my
and I'm really
parents.
sorry for your sadness. I
Yeah.
just wanted to end with that.
No,
Sorry, Eli.
I no, you're good. You're good. I get it too, man. I was there. I was there. And I'll never truly be mad at my parents be, because of like what I've learned in the Orthodox Church, but it's still very painful.
Hmm.
Like I love my parents and I light a candle for them and I pray for them. I pray for their souls even though they claim they don't have them, but and I pray that Christ will illumine them. And I just can, whenever anything happens, hey mom, how are you? Like I still contact my mom. I still, Ruby, you might have to just talk about the weather for the first year.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey mom, how's the weather out there? Just to see how she's doing. All right, I love you, mom, and keep it small because as long as you continue to just say, mom, I love you,
Hey, these
and
two
that's it.
gentlemen,
Mm.
Ruby, these two gentlemen just threw pearls at you. They are 100% right. Everything they said. And let me add on to what Eli and Eric said. Just, I would agree 100% with what they said. I really think they threw pearls. If you can go back and listen to it, because what if your mom has a stroke? What if you have a stroke? Just keep it open. Uh, Almost, you're gonna have to almost play good cop, bad cop. You do what you gotta do, but don't tell her nothing that she's forced to play her Jehovah's Witness hand. You know,
Right.
yeah. Mhm.
Believe
Yeah.
me, she's gonna try to. You know that, but that's just how
I
they
think
are.
instead of putting your a line in the sand of belonging to a faith, what's more important is your Christian attitude, because from what I've known from you this short time we've known each other, Ruby, you're a very good mother. You're kind to your cousin and to your guests on the show. You seem to be a good wife as well. I don't know you that well, but like I'm just saying, you are a very kind individual, and just kill your mom with kindness. But use your strongest Christian. What's the word I'm looking for? Your Christian suit, but that's not the word. Your I'm having a brain fart. Your attribute. Use your
Yeah.
strongest Christian attribute, which seems to be kindness and love. And maybe your mom will, by example, the witnesses preach that. Oh, by example, the worldly guy that's dating the sister will
Yeah.
come into the truth. But actually,
Exactly.
it does work. It's just they don't have the love really to bring
Right.
people
No,
in.
no,
Right?
they're not
That's
necessarily
a false
incorrect
sense.
in the stuff that they talk about. It's just they're
It doesn't apply to them.
it's just that it apply to them. They're like,
Yeah.
you want to be equally yoked. I'm like, yeah, you do, but not with you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you guys though. Thank you for that, because I know that for me to do that, it has to come out of me. Like it has to come out of the heart. I can't fake that. So I cannot do something that's out of the ordinary for me. And like how Jesse says, about the love and that type of relationship, I can't do it right now. So I know that it would take me some time, because if I try to do that, I don't want to sound fake or be
Yeah, you
fake.
would sound fake. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I know it's gonna take some time for me, because it's almost as if I'm talking to a stranger. I'm not talking to my mom anymore. So I talk to people as if I would talk to anybody, polite, have some manners, and don't say no bad words, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes me it makes me feel alone. Like I can't share my
hmm
my baptism or my faith or what I've been learning. Like you always want to call somebody up and tell them something of what you did today, and I can't
Right.
do that with her. So it
Yeah.
kind of makes me feel like if I make this decision, right? Because you know how they say, "Oh, do not lean upon your own understanding," and you gotta pray, to Jehovah to dedicate your life to Him to get baptized. So we already know we've been coerced into that as, born-ins, right? Now that I'm doing this as an adult, with the classes I've taken, the time and effort and energy that I've taken to learn the real truth, it kind of makes me feel like I'm making a decision for the first time in my life, all on my own. Like I am making this decision. Nobody told me to do it. Nobody told me to go to that church. I did all of that on my own. And now it's coming to the time of making the one of the biggest decisions in somebody's life aside from getting married. You know what I mean? Like that's how important it is to me. So it's like if I do that, I feel like I'm going to be completely alone in making that decision. Like I don't have anybody to like fall back on, no plan B. Like it is what it is. So I feel like I owe it to myself to get this done, because I did the work from day one, and I didn't care about who stood by me and who didn't. I just did it. And I think that this is something for me. You know what I mean? Like it's special.
Hey, Ruby, can I just share something? A couple of miles
ahead,
down the
Jesse.
road, where we live in Yuma, my sister's having her 40th wedding anniversary. We got married in 1982. She got married in 1982, and she didn't invite me and Gilbert. And I think my brother Gilbert, he's taking it. I don't know. He doesn't come out tonight or nothing, but our big sister didn't invite us, so we know that they hate us to death. They hate us to death.
Yeah.
And but you know what? I talked to my mom about it, but my mom's been dead for about going on 10 years.
Oh man.
15 years. But anyways, in my sleep, sometimes I'm able to talk to my mom and dad in my dreams. I don't know how that happens. I really don't know. But in my dreams, I don't know if anybody does that. Sometimes I could smell my mom. I could smell her perfume. I could taste.
Yeah.
And the smell. And so I told my mom about it. And you know what she said? She said, "Hija de su chingada madre." My mom cussed her out in Spanish. So I know my sister's making a big mistake. But
Yeah.
but that's why I'm saying what Eli said something about Jesus making the family. I think Eli said something like that a little while ago. I really believe what he said is true. I really do. So I think keep it open because there's something special between a daughter and a mom. If you can't share that spiritual side, maybe you guys could talk about the weather, about cooking, a recipe. Maybe there'll be a change. So I think that your gut instinct to not tell to your gut instinct was to tell her, right? That was your gut
Yeah.
instinct. Maybe you got to back off a little bit, or maybe go into prayer. Just keep what you have, keep what little you have. We know that Jehovah's Witnesses hate family, so keep that little rope that you have. That's what
Mm-hmm.
me and my wife do with her mom. Lisa still has her mom. And in Spanish, we have a saying. It says, it's a poem that says, Si tienes una madre todavía, da gracias al Señor que te ama tanto. If you
Right.
still have a mom, give glory to the God who loves you so. It's a beautiful Spanish poem. So just take that little thing that you have, that Jesus gave you, that little thing you have with your mom, the text messaging. Don't lose that.
Ruby, let me
Yeah.
ask you something.
Yeah.
If you, God forbid, or the kids or your husband were sick and someone was in the hospital, would your mom reach out to you?
She probably would, but it wouldn't be for the right intentions, and that's what scares me the most. Is because if anything does
Would she
happen
at
to us,
least would she show up, or what would she do? Would she show up at the hospital? Would she call?
she probably would. She probably would,
Yeah.
because she
Okay.
has done it. She has done it before, but
So
it was under.
you
Uh-huh.
got a flicker. You got a flicker of a flame right now, right? You got a little flicker.
Yeah.
My flame is snuffed out. Anytime I've been in the hospital a lot over the past few years, just with health problems that were genetic, and my family will not pick up. Whoever's in my guests, I'll let you on in 1 second. Just hold on. Um, so it's really dark place to be when you have nobody and your own family, like, you're bleeding out and you might need a blood transfusion, and your own family won't pick up the phone regardless you give a voicemail. And I kind of would give just for give anything for just a crumb of someone, of thinking that somebody gave a shit about me. So before you just I know you want to go like the William Wallace route, because that's what I did, and it didn't work out so well for me. Desiree and I going that route, going the warrior route.
Yeah.
Now we have nobody, and there's nobody that would pick up the phone, even if well, and we have been in the darkest places in the hospital, and they refuse to help us. So I say, as long as your mom's not abusing you and completely hurting you, let your love shine through and see what happens. See if something can grow from the seeds that you throw out. You know,
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
if
I totally
love
agree
can
with
grow.
you. Yeah, I agree with you, but it's also because of the kids. That's the only reason why she keeps that slither. And I've told her multiple times, like, the only reason why you linger around like a shark is because you're waiting for the moment for one of us to fall so that you can indoctrinate our children. And I will never let that
Mm.
happen. So, she's coping, thinking that she's gonna try her best to keep that communication open only for emergencies, because that's how she used to give herself an excuse to to communicate with me. But it was so disingenuous. Like, I hated that. I was like, you don't want to be here
I
because you want
understand.
to. You're just here because you're waiting for the moment to take my kids and put Caleb and Sophia on the TV. Like, it was really disgusting, her intentions, and that's why we've been so bad for so many years. So it's like I have to make a will or something, because God forbid anything happens to us. I hope they don't go to my mother. You know what I mean? Like, it's that
Mm.
bad that I would want, if not my dad, I would want an Orthodox Christian to take my kids rather than my Jehovah's Witness mother. You know what
It
I
would
mean? Like,
Right.
it would be your godmother.
right. And that's what I love about the
Mhm.
church. When they explained it to me, I'll get like a sponsor. I will have a godmother. The kids will have their own godfather, godmother.
Mhm.
I need that, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I would rather that. I trust those people more than my mother.
Yeah. So like uh, if something did happen to you, then yeah, the church itself would be like a satellite family. They would make sure that the kids go to church. The
You,
godparents would be more involved.
and you know
Yeah.
what? You have to be strong with your kids. For example, my sister, her party, she didn't invite me and Gilbert, but all my children got invited.
Yep.
So my children are going there because they never got baptized, and
Yep.
they talked to us. And my oldest is 32, and my middle one is 27. And they talked to me. They're going to go for their aunts, but they're crushed because their parents aren't involved. So they see the destruction of the family. And I
Yep.
told them, hey, be careful because you're going to be love bombed when you go there, because we know. And so you're going if you embrace orthodoxy, your children have to embrace it too, and they're going to be okay when they're around your mom. They're going to be okay.
Right. Yeah, that's the only good thing that I see coming out of it, because they've taken this whole experience even farther than I could have even imagined. And even for myself, like I was very hesitant, but not them. They it was like they were flying, they were so like social. They adopted the traditions. They loved the life, the friends, like the homeschooling stuff, like everything that we've ever done with this church, they've taken to it that I wasn't even able to do it. You know what I mean? Like I had so many reservations, but not them. They really embraced it so much that it encouraged me to do it. Like they were telling me, "Are we going to go to church next Sunday?" And I'm like, "Okay." Like now I have to live up to the routine because they already got, you so used to it. They love it. So that's right, Jesse. I agree with you.
Look at Fugazi's comment. Andy
Who?
Fugazi, he's
Oh,
got a
okay.
great comment. Yeah, look at that. I resolved to let my JW associates eat themselves with hate. I'm so thankful that myself, my wife of 40 years, 5 kids, 11 grandkids got out.
Wow.
8. Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
Wow.
11
Yeah.
grandkids. Congratulations. But yeah, congratulations on escaping. That's awesome. That's a great story.
Mhm. Who's the gentleman on the left?
Hey,
This is
Jerry. How you
JP.
doing, buddy?
Good.
I'll get out of the way. JP,
Sorry,
I'll
man.
see
I
you
have
guys
a
later.
hard time with that nickname. You're always Jerry to me.
Hi, Jesse and everybody. No, I wanted to address Ruby, what she was saying about getting rebaptized as
Yeah.
a Christian, because I
Mm-hmm.
did that last May, and this November is 3 years that I've been out of the JW. Since I woke up, and I was raised in, as a witness, and I woke up when I was 38 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and when I woke up, I kind of spent like a whole year deconstructing, just watching like tons of like XJW content. And I was looking at a lot of the Bible stuff that deconstructing the religion. So I was going through the Bible a lot, but it was just to deconstruct, the witnesses and the belief that we were brought up in. But what
Yeah.
happened was that the following year after that, I started getting more into the Bible. And then I actually did go to a church, a non-denominational church. And I spent the next year, exploring different religions and, Christian religions, and going through the Bible and building up my faith. And I was going to this church, and a lot of people were helping me there. I actually am good friends with another ex-JW man that that I met there too, and his it turns out that his family actually goes to the congregation that my mom goes to, that lives with me. So it's a very
Wow.
small world. But I ended up getting baptized, and it was on my own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And they have baptisms every week, and at one I was planning on getting baptized, and I got baptized on May 19th, which is actually on the calendar. It's on Pentecost. So I got baptized on that day, and nobody pressured me or anything. I'd been wanting to do it, but I'd been going to that church for like well over a year before I even got baptized, And
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
when I got baptized that day, I wasn't talking to the pastor or any of the deacons in the church, like telling them I was contemplating baptism, and they can go over 100 and some questions with me or anything. Just one day, I was planning on getting baptized at the next service, like a few weeks before that. I was like, no, I need to do this. It's time, you know? And
Yeah.
I finally did it. And then when I did, I didn't tell like the pastor or anything like the week before or anything. They're like, oh, we're having baptisms today. And then I went up to one of to one of the, to one of the deacons, and I was just saying, hey, I'd like to be baptized today. And he was like, that's excellent. He was like, just go over there to that room. And he's like, I'll let him know that you'd like to be baptized today. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on my own terms. And I think should be based on it shouldn't, like what Jesse was saying earlier, it shouldn't be, it's all about, don't worry about what your family thinks or anything. It's all about between you and Christ. You know what I mean?
Right.
And your relationship with Christ. That's what baptism should be all about. Don't worry about what your family thinks. Don't worry about what other people at the church thinks. It's between you and Christ, you know. And and it felt so good to get rebaptized. I can't tell you, Ruby, because I was baptized when I was 12, and
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I
Des
was
was
raised to
13.
witness.
He
But
was younger than Desiree.
Yup. And I was 10.
You were
yeah,
10?
and a lot
Damn.
of the
You were
reason
10?
too, like
Dude, yours
being,
should have been you should have got yours revoked instead of disfellowshipped. Like, what the
Yup.
fuck? What the hell does a 10-year-old know?
Yup.
yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
crazy. Sorry. I mean, 12 is just as bad too. But damn.
Yeah, actually, I think I was 13, but a lot of the reason why I got baptized is because a lot of the youth and other people, teenagers, were getting baptized at that time.
Mhm.
And when you're a witness, it's just about your progress in the cult. It has
Right.
nothing to do if you really repented and accepted Christ in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I did get baptized at that church, I only did get asked one question before I got dunked, and then like one last thing he asked me was like if I've repented from my sins and accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, and I said yes, and he said, okay, well, I this church in front of us is a witness that you've accepted that, and then he pretty much dunked me, and that was it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really very simple, but it's so refreshing because as a 13-year-old, I was just doing it because this is what you're supposed to do as a JW child, and you follow an example. Like, it's just what you're supposed to do. It has nothing to do with true repentance and accepting Christ. It's like, well, do I understand my responsibilities enough, in the organization, or do I want to do this? That's what it's more about. Like, at least that's what I saw as a 13-year-old. And then there's other youth and people in the hall. And at one time I kind of felt like left behind because there's so many people getting baptized. And I remember like my mom and other people were like, even like friends or like elders in the hall, like, well, so-and-so is getting baptized and he's younger than you. And all
Mm-hmm.
these people are making a stand for Jehovah. Like, shouldn't you make a stand? And getting
Yup.
baptized isn't about making a stand for Jehovah.
Right.
Baptism is about, repenting and accepting Christ, and it's a public display that you've done so. So after I did that, Ruby, and I know
Mm-hmm.
it's not for all XJW. Some feel that, once you're baptized once, that's fine. And I think that's okay. But me personally, that's something that I needed to do. And
Yeah.
once I did it, it really did feel very like I really like this is like a true baptism. Like I really wanted to do this, and I really understood what baptism actually meant.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think if you do want to do that, then go for it. It's gonna bring you so much closer to God and to Christ than you've ever felt before. Like if you do that, and that's truly something that you do want to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because you know how we used to say like we were spiritually homeless for such a long time, or that this is the religion or faith that my parents chose for me. I didn't choose that. I didn't know all of the real consequences to actions in that cult. I never thought that those things would happen to me. So when it did, I kind of felt betrayed by my own faith, my own elders, these people who I looked up to my whole life, for them to turn around and backstab me like that. So I don't care about them anymore. I'm so focused on moving forward, and this new parish is, like Eli said before, it's the satellite family. It's my new family. These people have been more welcoming and more interested in who I am and my life and my kids than I've ever experienced ever before.
I
So,
have a
yeah.
better relationship with my godfather than I do my actual father.
Yeah, and that's what I hope to have, because if it wasn't for them, I would have nobody. I would still be alone, as I was for the past 10 years, as I was, and that wasn't going well. It was going horrible.
And
So I
also,
knew I had to
Ruby,
make it.
like where you go to church, like the priests or the people like at where you're going, they're not pressuring you into getting baptized.
Mm-hmm.
And the priest isn't like, well, we need to set up 3 meetings with us and the deacons to ask you like 120 questions to make sure that you know what I mean? Like it's just
I love it.
insane.
Am
I
I the
love it.
only am I the only person here that failed their baptism questions? I did.
Well,
Well,
Yeah, no, I failed it.
it's because it wasn't right, Eric. So don't be. I know you bring that
No,
up
no, no,
sometimes,
I don't
Eric,
care. I'm
but
proud of it.
no,
It's because I didn't know who
don't
the
ever beat
governing body
yourself. Yeah,
were. That's
don't
why they
ever
wouldn't
beat
let me get
yourself up.
baptized.
You
I'm
Yeah,
can't you
not.
can't
don't beat
fail.
yourself up with that.
Uh,
You
It's
can't
not worth
fail the
Jerry,
it.
questions.
Jerry, I promise you, I'm not beating myself up over it. I'm calling it out because it's funny.
Yeah, I know, man.
It's a
You
badge
can't
of honor,
fail
if anything, bro.
the you can't fail the
It's like,
questions if
who's
you
the
never get
governing body?
baptized.
I love that. Sorry.
I know, Eric. It's not like the duck game on here on 6 screen. So
they
if you don't
they
get the
only
duck
gave me
question right, you're gonna be okay.
they
No, but
only
I
gave
love
me
it.
the first portion of the questions. They didn't do all the questions with me. They only gave me the very first portion. So I only answered a few questions, like maybe 5 or 6. It was quick.
He was like a used car salesman. He just wanted the sale. Ah, you love
Yeah.
Jehovah? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're totally a witness. And you're only 10 or 12.
It was like a formality. Like, we're just doing this because we have to, but we already know that you are a great, Jehovah's Witness. You've been born and raised here.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful mother. So we're not gonna ask you all of the questions, just this one, and that's it. And I was like, awesome. I felt like I got a free ride.
I mean just let's just do a mental exercise. Assume what they're saying is true and correct, right? Then that is on them at their judgment because they baptized someone who wasn't serious about being a Jehovah's Witness.
Right. And it
I
happens
mean,
a lot. Yeah.
yeah, like that's why priests are very cautious about. Yeah, I know, Andrew. Um,
No, that's my brother's name.
they're very
Yeah, yeah.
cautious about.
He's a happy kid right now.
Oh yeah, they're very cautious
He's
about
playing. He's playing with
baptizing people.
He's playing with the warrior wizard. That's why. Sorry. Go ahead, buddy. I'm just busting.
Oh no, you're all right. My son is just being a 2-year-old. You know how it is. There you go, kiddo. But yeah, the at least the priests within the Orthodox religion, they're very cautious when it comes to baptism because they they want to make sure that this person is serious about getting baptized and making that
Right.
decision.
Yeah.
They just don't do it willy nilly. You know, like the
Right.
J Dubs are like, well, here's your 4 questions. You know, oh, yeah, you're in. Like, oof.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
that's
right.
true.
Sorry, guys. I was just looking through some comments.
Well, thank you, JP. I really loved your encouragement. I love to hear that from other XJWs. You know what I mean? Like, we all move on into different things, and you know, some people write books, some people do music, some do channels, some just we never see them again. You know what I mean? Like, I love to hear you guys on how you moved on, because I'm only 28. You know, like, I feel like I'm too young for a lot of things. Like, mentally I feel too young, you know. So I feel scared sometimes when I have to make a decision for myself that will impact my life in a way. You know what I mean? Like, before, we used to go through checks and balances, you know, like we would ask people and ask their opinion and their advice, and they would always say go to the mature Christians of the congregation or ask an elder before doing something major. And it's like, I don't have those people anymore, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't want their advice even if I did, because I already know who they are. But you guys are the only guys that I have, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank
well,
thank you,
you're
Ruby.
approaching your 30s, and your 30s, you're gonna gain a lot more experience, and then by the time you're in your 40s, the wisdom and experience takes over, and just the repetition of life and learning. Just I don't know, things. It doesn't get easier because health problems start, but yeah, I don't know. You're at a good age actually, and you're pretty ahead of your age group. Like you're a pretty smart person, and you've figured out you figured out or you've done a good job of figuring out what's a truth and what's a lie, and that's that. Alex Jones calls his show Infowars. It's a pretty good description of what we're going through right now. There's lies and there's truth, and there is a literal war over it. But you got a good
Right.
head on your shoulders. You're a smart person, Ruby.
Thanks, guys. I love everybody here in the chat. Every
We
even
love you
people
too.
who come, even people who are disagree with and stuff like that. I appreciate everybody. I want to hear everybody's opinion. I want to know everybody's story. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so open minded that I just love it now. So thanks, guys.
JP got a compliment. Is Ruby older than JP? JP's my age. I won't tell you what my age is, but if you all know, then I gave JP's age away.
Hey, Eric, I'm a year younger than you, man. So don't beat me up like that.
Yeah, you gotta throw the year there. Okay. Fact checker.
Nah, I'm just joking. But thanks,
No,
Ruby.
that's
I
true though.
just one last thing I want to say to you is just that once you do decide to get baptized on your own terms and you go through it, I know that when I did it, it was the best day of my life because I didn't even really have the. I told a few close friend of mine that were like in the XJW community because those were the only people that were quite frankly, the only people that were gonna care about it.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a personal relationship between you and Christ. And I tell you, when I did that, that was like the best day of my life. I felt so good, and it was just the whole day was just about between Christ and me. Like it didn't even matter like how witness thing like they want to have like take you out to lunch and that. It was like a very quiet personal thing that
Right.
I did between Christ and me. And once I did it, I felt like wow, like I wasn't coerced into this like I was as a child and stuff. Like I went through with this on my own. And
Uh-huh.
it feels a little strange like when you do it because you deep down in this probably like the XJW like in me like a little bit that bastions that I have like in my body or my soul, but I feel like did I do the right thing? But the Holy Spirit and that overwhelms you, when you know you're doing it for Christ. So I
Mm-hmm.
had no doubt in my mind that I was like, this was the right decision for me. And it was amazing. And since then, I've felt like even my relationship between Christ and my understanding of the Bible and a lot of stuff has
Mm-hmm.
just became a lot more clear, because I'm doing this on my own terms because I want to do this, and I'm not doing this because I'm in an organization. It doesn't matter what church I go to, the Bible is always going to be here, and what Christ did is never going to go away. His sacrifice. So
Right.
that's the most
Exactly.
important thing for me. So that's how I see it. But I hope it gives you some encouragement. But if you do your baptism and stuff, and hope you can share that experience and all that. I
Oh
would I would
yeah.
love to hear that too.
Oh
But
yeah. I
I think
definitely
if that's
am.
something if you want to do, go for it. Like it took me, like I said, it took me a year to deconstruct. I spent about a year like going into the Bible and then checking out some churches and stuff, and then finally I went through with it. So it took me like well over like 2 years to finally get to the point where I actually woke up, left the organization, to where I was actually accepted Christ and got baptized from a church that wasn't related to JW's. But I hope you can experience that too. It was really fulfilling for me.
Oh yeah. Actually, tomorrow I'm gonna bring it up. So we're gonna talk about it with the catechumen teacher. He also does the Bible studies. So I've been attending that for over a year now, and then I'm gonna answer back the priest because he approached me like a month ago, and he gave me some of like information about baptism and how they view it. And then he was looking at me like, yeah, I think you're ready. And I was looking at him like he kind of caught me off guard. But I mean, I if he feels like I'm ready, and I've been thinking about it for a really long time. I think I really do want to do it. It's like a new beginning for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm done with everything in my past. I'm never looking back. Obviously, I've done everything I've done so far. So I feel like I'm good to go. Like I finally allowed myself to say yes. This is a decision you're gonna make, and it's a you on your own. Nobody's like exactly what you just said. Nobody's coercing you. Nobody's pushing you to do it. This is just for you. So tomorrow I'm gonna I'm gonna talk to them, and then I'm definitely gonna let you guys know. I'm definitely gonna take pictures, or whatever happens
That's
happens.
cool.
But yeah, I'm happy about it. Honestly, I'm thrilled. It's like finally I'm really moving on. You know what I mean? Like I've deconstructed for 10 years. I've been going to this church since last summer. So a
Hmm.
little over a year now, coming into 2025. So I feel good. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna let you guys know. Thank you, Eric, for letting me come on
Oh,
here
thank
and
you, Ruby. Yeah, thanks for
spill
coming on.
everything on
Thanks for
you
support.
guys.
Oh no, I'm glad that we could talk to you, and I don't know if my advice is any good or not. I just sometimes I don't like giving advice when it comes to people's family and stuff, but I mean well, and I hope you can find peace with your mom, and I don't know. It's just hard to find peace after leaving that religion. Um,
Hmm.
you know why? Just a concluding thought before you go, because it's hard to know that our families are being duped, and it's like you're hating on me because 11 dumbasses in New York are telling you to. Like, what the hell? You're picking 11 losers over me, Ruby Quinn, or me, Eric Kubler. Like, are you friggin' kidding me? I'm way cooler than them. Can they impersonate Sean Connery? Get your ass. I mean, come on. Anyways, I'm just being silly, but that's what it's come down to. It's like their master is not Jesus Christ, because Jesus would never tell them to do this to us. But love you, Ruby. Thank you for coming on, honey. I really appreciate you
Yeah,
swinging by.
thank
Thank
you.
you, thank you,
I'll be in the
Ruby.
chat. Thanks, Eli.
Thank-
And
Thank you
I
Thanks,
so
just
much.
wanted to
Ruby.
say you did an excellent Thanksgiving. I was there with you guys for a little bit. And
Oh,
it was cool to see your family and Audrey's family kind of mingle too. That was awesome. It was
oh
really
yeah.
I was cooking in the background and it was just like good like vibes like going while I was cooking. I said my own Thanksgiving meal. I was doing it late.
I
That's
actually
good.
I
Yeah.
actually had Thanksgiving dinner with uh with a friend of mine who was a Jehovah's Witness and got baptized as a Orthodox as well. So I had him over, and he's like, yeah, it's still kind of weird because his mom barely talks to him. So when we have Thanksgiving, I like to have Thanksgiving for those who don't have family, like the
Take care, Ruby.
ex-AWs who don't have families. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, Ruby took off. She said she'll be in the chat, but yeah, she was already saying goodbye. Good night, honey. You have a good night. Just to let the audience know, let's see, it's 12:30 Rick's time, almost 12:22. Um, I'll I'll go. We'll go till either 12:30 or 1 o'clock, somewhere around there, but no, not past one. Um, I don't even. I'm not sure what time he wants me to go tonight, but we'll do somewhere between 12:30 and 1, and then give Rick and Sue a break. But anyways,
Actually, I'm actually gonna leave, change my profile picture, and come back and tell you guys how you're
okay,
not
buddy.
Christian. I'll have my alter ego in here, and then we could go back and forth
That's
with it.
funny.
I don't know.
Who's El Paisano Patriot? I can only friggin' imagine. That's got to be Gigi, right? Why is he
No,
changing his name all the
it-
time? Is it Jesse?
Eric, it's Jesse. Yeah.
Oh, it's Jesse. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Gigi will be west of Eden.
Oh, West of Eden. These guys keep changing their names so much. I can't. I'm dyslexic, man. Just stop. I really am dyslexic. I mix up things all the time. Uh, oh well. But yeah, 12:30 sucks. Well, Rick doesn't like the. I tell you what, Jesse, it was your show that did it in when you had those guys come on threatening somebody's. Well, yeah. Anyways, uh, yeah. But anywho, sorry to make it weird, everyone. That's my job, I guess. You know what I'm learning as I get a little older, that like I'm much better at like chiming in here and there than like the lead guy doing a show. Because I hate to like Jesse and Gigi, you give them the mic, it's like they're Eminem, they're Dr. Dre, like they're just like they're Busta Rhymes or whoever. They just spit the lyrics out. Um, I run out of steam after about 20 or 40 minutes. But then when I get what gets me going is the interchange of people, and I appreciate the support, everybody. Um, how are you doing, JP? How's things? Uh, JP's lighting a cigar.
Eric,
Is East of Eden happening tonight? Oh, by the way,
can you hear
dehydrated
me?
nurse. Oh yeah, go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I was just main reason why I was calling in tonight was because I just wanted to address what Ruby was saying about baptism because that's something I experienced recently. So I thought it was important to give her my insight. But other
Oh,
than
for
that, no,
sure.
I'm having a good weekend. Yesterday I went to the company Christmas party
Oh, we got Busta Rhymes in the house.
that I work for. It was
You
pretty
didn't
good.
know
Oh,
you didn't know we had a
Jesse's back.
celebrity
Yeah.
guest tonight, JP.
Hey, is Ruby on?
No,
No, she's gone, Jesse.
She's in the comment section, but she's going to bed.
Okay, good.
She's signed off.
Now we could talk guy stuff. We could
Well,
be
there's still
Yeah.
misogyny.
women
So
listening. She's still
so
listening, dude.
I farted the other day.
I drank some beers and then scratched.
Hey, salute.
Salud. Hey,
Is
you know
Yeah,
that is
what?
that
so
how you say? Is that how you say it in Spanish?
Salud. How do you say it in
Because
Italian?
it's salute.
Salute.
Yep, salute, same thing.
Salud.
Salute.
You know, speaking
Um,
Spanish helped me speak English, because when we were kids, we weren't allowed to speak English at home, and in school you were not allowed to speak Spanish. And I
really?
thought that was the greatest thing in the world, because you got Spanish comes with a lot of Latin words, and then you learn all the Latin words in English. So to me, knowing another language helped me learn English better.
Okay, so you know Latin, Spanish, and English.
No, not Latin, Spanish. But you know, you see the
Oh,
Latin derivative in the English language.
I see.
Mm-hmm. Hey, can I ask you a question? On you were talking to Ruby about moms. Now, us Mexicans, I don't know about the new ones, but the older ones, life sucks without a mom. I mean, the mom is everything in our culture, was everything. In the Italian culture, I imagine it's the same way.
I
Is
would
it
say in all the cultures,
in
we're
all the cultures?
all. It's just, the way it's more magnified in others, right? Like the Italians and the Hispanics, very magnified. But yeah, everyone like misses their mom.
It's just I
Hey,
noticed
Gigi.
in the
Hey, Gigi.
Spanish.
Can I answer your question?
Yes.
From an Italian perspective, right? So I'm a quarter Italian, Canadian, French, German, and Irish.
Mhm.
And my grandfather on my mother's side is 100% Italian, and his mother comes from the old country in Masafina. And when I was disfellowshipped, I was trying to get reinstated, and he was talking about my mom, and I'm like, I have a lot of problems with my mother right now. She's acting out of line, and she is conspiring against the marriage with my wife. And I said she's a major thorn in my flesh right now. And my grandfather said to me, "How dare you speak like that to your mother? She gave you life," and hung up the phone on me.
Wow.
And it took me a while to call him back because I was heated. And that's not the first time he's yelled. Very passionate people. You don't talk shit about mom or grandma. Maybe grandpa and grandpa can be okay, or pa and grandpa, but like not, never the mothers. The mothers were off limits, no matter what. They were a saint. Your mother's a saint. Like nah, grandpa, no. But
Hey,
it's the culture in the with the Italian family. The family is close, but Jehovah's Witnesses put a wedge between that.
yeah. You know, my brother, our older brother, he passed away last year. He was in the English congregation, but we were all in the Spanish. And my brother turned into a female genitalia the way we looked at him when he went to the English congregation. We didn't respect him as a man in the
Yeah.
Spanish. And I remember it tore up a lot of people, and it almost killed my mother, because he would call this white sister in the English congregation his mom, and she would call it that was his mom. And I remember it almost killed my mom. And me and Gilbert, when we were little, we didn't know our mother was clinically depressed, but we would get her out of bed. We would physically get her out of bed. And he destroyed my mom. He destroyed our family, the English congregation. Now that we look back, it drove my mom into depression, that the witnesses would do that. They would get another woman between a mother and a son. But yeah, we used to believe our brother was a female version of a man, a transgender, when he was in the English congregation. And we thought that the English congregation didn't, we saw it different in the Spanish. They were like, my mom would call them bitches. Can I say that word? You know how you have a
Yeah.
dog and a woman will let their she would call them that.
Would they say puta? Would she say puta in Spanish?
Perras. Perra.
What is it?
Perra. Like a female dog.
Vera? Oh, I thought it was puta.
No, that's a prostitute.
Oh, huh. I thought puta was okay.
It could be. It could
I
be.
thought puta was a bitch.
It could be. But it could be
Okay.
both. But she would say that they were like a female dog. That's what she would
You know
call that
what?
sister.
I worked with a bunch of guys from El Salvador that taught me a little Spanish, and I wonder if your languages don't there's a little
Ours is better.
difference.
We're like the master race. We're like the Germans
Okay, here we go now with
Latin
that.
community. We're like the Aryans in the Spanish community. Us Mexicans.
It's like we are the master race.
When it comes to Spanish, the Mexicans were the superior race. All the other Spanish languages.
I had a
must bow.
discussion with a Spaniard, a Spaniard, an Argentinian, a Colombian, and a Mexican. They were talking about this very same subject.
They're all the master race.
Right, and who spoke the best Spanish? And the Spaniard finally said something. He's like, "What are you talking about? You guys are all Indians. None of you can speak the Spanish right. So get out of here."
I hear a lot of people talk crap about Puerto Ricans, and when they say
all true,
yeah,
all
that
true.
they don't roll their R's right, or they don't roll their R's at all. Instead of saying Jose Cuervo when you roll the R's, they say Jose Cuevo, and then Cuevo sounds like balls, huevo in Spanish. That's what we
were always taught. We were always taught that they were a little bit feminized version of men because they didn't make it to the mainland. They stayed out there in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm.
Well, they might have it kind of good out there.
Hey, you know what though? There was these 3 guys in Yuma. A white guy, a Russian, and a Mexican. And the Russian guy comes in back in the 310 to Yuma in the bar. And the Russian goes, "Bartender, give me a bottle of your best vodka." And he is about to drink it, shoots it, and he gives out a Russian yell and shoots the vodka. And the Mexican guy goes, "What are you doing, amigo? That's expensive vodka." He goes, "In my country, lots of vodka." So the Mexican, he understands what's going on, the Mexican cowboy. So he gets a bottle. He goes, "Bartender, cantinero, give me a bottle of your best tequila." And he goes and he throws the bottle up in the air and he gives out a Mexican yell, "Ah!" And he shoots it. And the American cowboy, he loses his mind. He goes, "What are you doing? That's some expensive." He goes, "Don't worry. In my country, lots of tequila." So the American guy, he gets the hint. And he goes, "Bartender, give me a bottle of your best whiskey." He gets the bottle, drinks it all, and shoots the Mexican. And the Russian goes, "What the hell are you doing?" He goes, "In my country, plenty of Mexicans." Okay. That's my...
I thought it was good.
That's awesome.
I knew where you were going with this one.
I did
That's
too.
wrong, huh?
You stopped the joke, but I'm like, all right, I get it.
It's a true story.
That's funny.
My uncle's granddad's best friend was there.
Where was he at?
He was there when that joke happened.
Oh, yeah. But no, seriously speaking, we are the superior race in the Spanish community.
No, but really, we are superior. I love
We have the best food, the best looking women, best, from LA to Phoenix, best Mexican food in the whole world. And then everyone else takes it. Mm-hmm.
Well, what about Spanish food? Well, you know what though? To be honest with you, I'm gonna eat my words because I actually do like Mexican food better than Spanish food. I think Spanish food. I do like Spanish food a lot, but like from Spain.
Spanish food is European.
It is, and it is really good. But you're talking about races.
Yeah,
and
it's not rice and beans and carne asada.
Authentic Mexican food is some of the tastiest, dude. I mean, really, you guys take simple ingredients and make it amazing, just like the Italians. I mean, really, you got culinary there for sure.
Now, Italian is considered some of the best in the whole world.
Really?
Yeah.
It's my favorite. I love Italian food. I make on a regular. I make Italian food and Mexican food. I make like a lot of what is it called? Tostadas. I take the tortillas and I fry them and make a shell out of them, and then I fry potatoes and top them with all kinds of toppings and different or whatever I decide.
But seriously speaking, I heard one time that in the United Nations, the foods that are considered the best in the planet, were Chinese, French, and I can't remember what the third one is. Either Italian, but it wasn't Spanish. It wasn't
No.
Spanish.
It's
Mhm.
French, Chinese, and Italian. In the
Yeah.
in the culinary world, those are the three.
Yeah, the three best in the planet.
The three kind of pillars
Mhm.
that you build
Thai,
off of.
Thai is exceptional as far as the Asian food. I like that more than Chinese.
Yes.
Indian food too. Damn.
Nope.
Lord help us, Texas food, Mexican, Italian, etc. Everything. Who's getting hungry?
Now the Texans, they think their food is superior to everybody. They think everything in Texas is better. They literally do.
Well, everything's bigger in Texas.
Not everything. It's the ego. Those guys think too much of themselves. We had a circuit over here, no lie. He, what was his name? I can't remember, but it was a big old tall Texas guy. And we had him, you know how we used to have him for 3 years? And every 6 months he would come out and he goes, brothers, did I tell you I'm from Texas? Oh my gosh, every time. Everything. Like
That Texas pride, man.
like remember the auxiliary pioneer, you would do 50 hours? Not the Texans, they would do 51. I'm serious. This guy told us that the average was 51 in Texas. And the auxiliaries were the regulars were 70, but their real average was 71. Everything with this guy had to be better in Texas. Even their field service hours. Mm-hmm.
Damn, Becky Wise, you're 6'1". Holy smokes! It's not often I come across a woman that's my height. I'm 6'1 3/4".
Is she
I'm
Mexican?
not doing that to beat you. 6'1", that you are a tall gal. Wow.
She sounds Amazonian.
She made me do Jesse. She made me blush earlier. She said "mega" in the beginning of my show. Make Eric great again.
Whoa.
Tell me about it. I'm 40 years old and I have some health problems. Hey God, you want to throw me a bone here? We all do. You know what? Speaking of health problems, that's my health problems are minute right now to our friend Debbie. I don't. She was listening. She told me she's not. She was listening. She's not feeling good. She's in the hospital right now. Again, the poor thing has just been trouble after trouble with infection and with well, yeah, what I can't remember what she has. It's the same thing that I had. We had the same skin infection, only I got treated with pills, and she's been treated with an IV. She had surgery done. This poor girl is so messed up from it. But we love you, Debbie, and
What does she
I'm
have?
sorry that you're still struggling. What is it called again? It begins with an L.
Oh, it's not eczema
It's a
or
skin. No, it's a skin infection, and what happened was that it got worse than just an infection. She showed me pictures of it, and it's so bad that I get a little woozy seeing stuff like that. So I deleted the pictures right away, so I don't when I text her, I don't have to look at it all the time. But I had the same infection, and my foot is still a little red from it, but I don't have a problem with it like she does. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, it's some kind of skin infection, and they did a surgery on her, and it was just supposed to be a minor surgery, and she's got a big old gash there, and it's still infected. Whatever they had to remove, the wound is still infected, and she's just having trouble after trouble in the hospital. I don't know if she's getting bad health care or what, but we'll keep her in our prayers and thoughts.
wow.
I'm not always able to get back right away, and I feel bad. We all are going through problems, but I really mean that. There's so many of it. Sometimes it's hard to get. Sometimes it's hard. It's hard to get people to understand what we're going through because everybody is going through something in some kind of way. You know. Um,
Hey, Eric.
there's a lot of suffering going on, but I think the most important thing is that we all are there for each other as best as we can. Hey, Jerry, go ahead, buddy.
Nah, it was texting with Debbie, and yeah, she has a terrible infection on her leg. She sent me a picture. It was
It's awful.
terrible.
Man.
I hope she's gonna be okay. It's absolutely awful. It was really bad, the picture she sent. But You were, I think, a little bit.
Oh,
You guys were.
I got Debbie wrong. She's here in the comment section. She says, "No, Eric, I'm not back in the hospital. I might go back in the hospital, but I've seen the wound, and she probably will end up back there." Um, but anyway, sorry, Debbie. I'm not trying to be Mr. Doom and Gloom. Maybe not, but yeah, it doesn't look good. Sorry, sweetie. We love you. Oh, cellulitis. Thank you. It's not. It doesn't begin with an L. It has an L in it or a double L.
Yeah, I hope she's okay. I was gonna say, Eric, that yesterday I went to a Christmas party for my company, and I wanted to get maybe Jesse and Eli's take on this, but it was funny that when I went, there's actually I work with a
Negative.
Jehovah's Witness. I work with a Jehovah's Witness, and he actually went to the Christmas party this year, but he avoided me like the plague. It was so weird. And he's like me. He's a little older, and he was raised in the organization. He got disfellowshipped when he's like Gigi's age, Jesse. He's like around like in his 50s or something, and he was raised as a JW, and he quit going like when he was around 21 or 22. He got disfellowship and he didn't go. So he was out of the organization for about almost 20 years, and he got reinstated in 2019 before the pandemic. And I was like a pomie at that time, and he's been like a full-fledged like JW, and like always like telling me like, oh, you got to get back to the meetings. And I was always like, yeah, like encouraging him, like, in 2019 through, well, I woke up in 2021. So like from like 2019 to 2021, like I was always like, yeah, brother, like you gotta I gotta get back to meetings. And then he was always telling me about his wife, how like she was really disappointed about him never being around for the holidays for the family and stuff. And then he was always giving me like a bunch of like pressure, like I need to go back. Like he just like found out about like returning to JWs, and that was like what I was trying to do too. But I was like, I've always been in and out of the org like him. Like he was out of it for like over 20 years, and I'd always been, even though it was like a pomie, like physically out, mentally in, like at some time when I was in the organization, like there was a time when he was just out for like 20 years. So like we were always like encouraging each other, and then I woke up, and then to him I kind of got like I would kind of became like a sour person. Like anytime you talk about the org, I'd always like have something to say about it that he didn't like. And for like 3 years he hasn't even like, we usually have like a Thanksgiving potluck for the company and all that. He wasn't like doing none of that. He wasn't doing none of the Christmas parties. They usually have like every month, like the company, like if your birthday is in like a certain month, let's say like July, like mine, like the last Friday of the month, like any employee that is born in like July or whatever, they'll take like all the employees out to lunch. And like when he got like reinstated and all that in 2019, like he like emailed the human resource, like, I don't want to be a part of like none of the Christmas parties, like the Thanksgiving, I don't want no birthday gifts or like the birthday lunch. Like he put all that forth. But it's funny, like the last year he's been easing up. Like we had this our Thanksgiving potluck, and like he actually signed up on the list. He brought the stuffing. So he went to that, and then he went to the Christmas party this year, which I was shocked. I was surprised. And even like a few other employees too that aren't even like witnesses, they're like, hey, like, isn't that Rob like a Jehovah? And like and they know like I'm an ex-JW, and I was like, yeah, man. Like they're like, do you even like supposed to be here? But I was like, like technically to the religion, like he's not, but like, I'm sure it's probably his wife or whatever. But he totally avoided me like the plague, and he always talks to me in the shop and all that. And it's like at this Christmas party, I was like, he didn't say what's up. I tried to like stop him a few times. He was just like going, and then finally when he was leaving, I was like, "Hey Rob," I was like, "What's up, dude?" And he was like, "Oh hey," and then that was like it. So I'm like, man, is this guy starting to wake up and he's like still a little scared, or is his wife pressuring him into that? I mean, what do you think, Jesse and Eli?
I don't know. Wow, that's a weird
It
one.
was so weird, man, because he knows,
It is
like,
weird.
Now he could be.
and he was even avoiding me. Like, we're both at the same Christmas party. It's like, bro, like, why are you avoiding me? Like, you're
Well,
doing
let me
something
ask you.
wrong. Like, we're both at a Christmas party.
Are you currently are you currently disfellowshipped or
No.
No,
This
that's
is-
the one thing too.
because he could be scoping you out? He could be a spy.
I've just faded away. You know what I mean?
Okay, so
Oh,
could he
that's
be
a
a
good
spy?
point, Jesse. No, I
He
didn't
could
even
he could
think
not
about
like
that.
the fact that you're there with him, wondering if you're going to rat on him. He could just be right.
That could be. That's probably it. If I had to guess,
No, I
that's
think
Yeah, he's
I think
he's
probably
Jesse
wondering if you're going
nailed
to
it.
rat on
Like,
him.
no, I think Jesse nailed it. Like, I've faded, and oh, that makes sense, Jesse. I gotta tell him Monday, like, bro, it's like, be happy, and I don't want to like scare him, because I was like pointing some stuff out like 6 months ago about the governing body and other stuff, and he was like, "Oh, well, you know,
Is he
you
an
don't know
overseer?
that Jehovah's running this organization and all that." So I think he's still kind of a believer.
Is he an overseer? Is he an elder?
No, he's just a publisher.
Okay, but he could. Is he close to an overseer, elder?
Oh, very close.
Okay, he could be working for
Actually,
somebody.
this elder always calls like my mom. He's like her best friend, and my mom lives with me, so he's
That's
very close.
that's called
Yeah.
that's
Oh
called
man, Jen,
spiritual warfare. It's called
that's
spiritual
what I want to
warfare.
ask you guys. You guys are bringing up these questions I wasn't even thinking about. How close is he to you? Yeah, he's actually very close. Is the guy that brought him back into the truth is actually one of my mom's best friends, and that
Listen,
guy.
do you know? Do you know the policy in the congregation of spiritual warfare? You can lie. You can lie. You could do anything. For example, let's say you can go to a Christmas party if you're there for doing a job to scope somebody out for an elder. You see, so if the elders put him up to go visit to see if they could get some information, if you're going, he wouldn't get in trouble for going to a Christmas party.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope he's not going for me, because if they do, like, it's a big waste of time for them. But he
It's
could
just a
be,
guess.
Jesse. I don't know. Like, as far as I know, like, he's still like gung ho for the Watchtower, and his heels are very dug in. Even though he got reinstated in 2019 after being out for like so many decades, I'm just like,
Was he
thinking,
taking
like,
pictures? Was he taking pictures?
I don't even know, but the company was taking pictures too. It's interesting you bring that up, Jesse. Is like, the company was taking like group pictures, like, for the company holiday party, 2024, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
right.
And then everybody was going, and him and his wife like, nah, like, and everybody's like, come on, Rob. He's like, nope. Like, it was like, that's fucking weird, Excuse my language.
Then he was spying out the place. He had ulterior motives.
I don't know. So it was either his wife, or he's like you said, he might be scoping, because.
Yeah. Is he in the
But maybe
Spanish
he's
or the
slowly
English?
waking back up. I don't know, man. I've told him some serious stuff that aren't even like with the main thing I was telling him was like, he grew like a big old beard out, and like, I remember when he got reinstated, he had a big old beard, and then he shaved it off for like the last 3 years.
Is he in the
And then
Spanish
he
or
was,
English?
what's that?
Is he in the Spanish or English?
No, we're in the English.
In English. Yeah, the English are full of rats. They'll rat each other out. So if he was there and he didn't want to take pictures, so he doesn't want nobody. He's still in. But
Yeah.
what was he doing so there has to be, you have to give him an ulterior motive. He has to
The
have an
only thing
ulterior
I can
motive.
think is his wife's giving him like so much pressure.
He's married
Because
to
I
a
remember
non-believer?
when he did get reinstated, and he was telling me like, oh, like my wife's really disappointed at me and all this stuff. I remember when I was still like a pomie and still believing JW, even though I wasn't like regular, at the meetings and stuff. I'll be like, oh, it's okay, brother. Like, like we just got to put up with that. You got to stay strong. And I would even tell him like, oh, Satan always wants to go after us. And man, I look back at that, and if I were him, like he didn't say that, but I would have kicked my ass in a conversation. I would have been like, hey, would you comparing my wife to Satan because her and my family want me to celebrate the holidays?
Those pagan holidays.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, but
bring
he
joy
was
and
raised as a
happiness.
witness. He was raised as a witness like me, so we would use just the typical things that we would say.
Well, you'd have to
Yeah,
ask them. So
Jesse, that's
define
something to
what a
think about.
pagan is.
Hey, Jesse, you got some little bambinos that made some artwork in the background?
Yeah. Lisa,
Looks
which
like a
one of the
reindeer and a snowflake.
That's the fact.
Yeah, my grandson.
Aw, how cool.
My grandson.
That's nice, man.
I got 7 grandbabies.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you had 7. Dang.
What was Eli
That's
gonna
awesome,
say? I'm
brother.
sorry, Eli.
Oh, go ahead, Eli.
Uh,
Were
Get
you
cut
gonna
off
say something in regards to my coworker that's used to be a ex-JW, and then he got reinstated in 2019, and now he's like kind of acting all strange now that he's going back to Christmas parties, even though he's still a
Yeah.
JW.
yeah, maybe he's concerned about you ratting him out because that's all it's about is
That's what I was
guilt
thinking.
and
Yeah. Self-preservation.
self-preservation.
You know what? I had 2 Jehovah's Witnesses friends that I was hanging out with while I was disfellowshipped, and that they were on their way out of getting disfellowshipped. One of them fled to Florida and avoided the whole thing. The other one got disfellowshipped. But when we were together in the car, they used to go, Ricky Bobby, put your hood on. I can't be seen with you. Put your hood on. And I'm like, man, I don't want to drive around like this. So it feels stupid. But yeah, no one wants to get busted. No one wants to deal with it. You avoid it as much as possible. It's also stupid.
Yeah, and that's something I had to do when I was like a kid. I'd always
Right?
sneakily
No doubt.
go
We're
off and
adults.
do
Amen to that.
things.
Sorry.
Right? Like, yeah, I'm an adult, dude. Like, if I'm gonna Andrew, leave
Yeah.
it. If I'm gonna go to a Christmas party, I'm gonna go to a Christmas party, dude. And it's not like
Yeah.
I'm purposely wanting to be like some sort of degenerate or anything, but they're so backwards in their belief that everything is bad to them.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree, brother. Jesse, go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? I remember in 1991, the nightly news. It was 1990 or 1991. I used to come home from work and watch NBC nightly news. I don't know why. And it was with Tom Brokaw. And I always believed since I was a little kid that the communists were the news, But I remember the fall of the Soviet Union. There was this story on East Germany, and it was real. I used to come watch the news because all those countries were falling, and there was always something fresh in 1990, 1991 in the news. And they were having the fall of Berlin. Remember, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. When it finally came down, Tom Brokaw did this story in East Berlin, and there was this gentleman who was about 50 or 60 years old, and he was crying, and he was being interviewed by the NBC Nightly News because he went down to City Hall when they had opened at the fall of Berlin, and he wanted to know why he had been shipped off to. He was a Christian man, and he had hid his Bible underneath his toilet. He had hid it under private locations, and every time he got caught, he got shipped off 5 years to the prison for having a Bible, and they would always catch him. So he went down to the public records to find out how it was that they were catching him. And it turned out that it was his wife who was the informant for the wasn't the KGB, the Stasi in East Germany. And that's what I remember the Jehovah's Witnesses being like. It's like being in East Germany. Every Jehovah's Witness is a rat. And I remember when I was in school in America, I was taught that you would rather take a bullet than to rat out your friend or your family. You know,
Yeah.
they used to say snitches get stitches in the neighborhood. But it
Or
used
wind
to
up in
be,
ditches.
yeah, you just don't rat people out. But the Jehovah's Witnesses to me were like eternal rats. The whole religion, everybody's looking out at everybody. That's no way to live. That's no way to live. Can you imagine living under being a Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah,
all
and
you're
it's the whole
doing is
like,
yeah.
oh, are they bad association? Are they spiritually weak? You know, right? But it's so not, again, that's not Christian, because we are not to judge our brother. We are not to say, oh, look at what he's doing. You know?
Yeah.
When I was trying to get reinstated, an elder, I've told this story before, but an elder approached me and he said, we want to know everybody involved with the strip club scene with your uncle. And
What?
well, the thing is my uncle had a bunch of guys that were all the cool guys, and like we had a crew. The strip club scene's not my thing, but it was for these other guys that were married men, and they there was a bunch of guys
Mhm.
going to strip clubs all the time and partying, drinking, over drinking,
All
and
right.
it finally came out, and I was disfellowshipped. I always knew that was going on. Everyone trusted me because I didn't rat anyone out, and the only time you could say I did rat someone out was when the presiding overseer or whatever it is now, Kobe, but at that time, he put his hand on my shoulder with his pinky ring, and he said, "Eric, we know you're trying to come back, and you'll do the right thing. Tell us the names of everybody who was at the strip club." I already knew. I already knew that the
What?
whole crew came down, so I only told him the names of the people that already got busted, and I did not give another name. And he's like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that guy too. Yeah, we already know about that guy. No one else. Nah, that's all I know. There's nobody else. Nope, I don't know anyone else." Okay.
You know, you were like that
He
kid.
thinks he's so smart.
You were like that kid. You were like that kid in Schindler's List where he lines up all the Jews and he goes, "I want to know who killed this chicken." And the little kid points at the dead guy. He did it.
Yeah. He did. Smartest thing he could do.
Yeah.
Exactly. I pointed the finger at the dead guys, the guys that were already busted. There was
Yeah.
like three of them that I knew of, so I only gave their names. I knew my uncle was on there, but he was like, "Well, yeah, obviously." And then I said this guy, and then I said that guy. He's like, "Yeah, I know about him too." I'm like, "That's it." I figured I gave him enough.
So, you know, if I was JP and I was at that party, I would have taken some pictures to cover my butt. You know,
Nah.
yeah.
I wouldn't even bother with it, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. As former Jehovah's Witnesses, we got to do also is just move past it. Like we want to help those who are trying to get out of the religion, but like screw these kids, man. Like
Yeah.
I'm too busy.
There was over a dozen of us that were smokers or occasional smokers, marijuana smokers,
Mhm.
tobacco smokers, gamblers, and strip club guys. The strip club wasn't my scene, but I like to gamble and smoke marijuana.
Mhm.
Hey Jesse, you were
But
talking
yep,
about
there was a bunch of cool
pictures
guys.
like from the Christmas party. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
You know,
only
London.
one.
Wow, it's 6
There
a.m.
was
in
only one.
London. Look at that.
There was only one picture that was taken of me at the holiday party tomorrow, but I'm gonna send it to Gigi and then he'll send it to you.
okay.
But that's the only picture that's taken of me at the holiday party. But yeah, it's like I think. So what do you think I should say to this dude on Monday when I see him? Like, and he comes out to the shop and he just wants to treat me like we were never there at that party. I was just gonna like probably ask him and say, "Hey, Rob, like, do you enjoy the party on Friday?"
Yeah. Like, hey man, it was
Yeah,
nice seeing you
See
at
I
the
what he
like that.
party.
says.
I like that
Like, I
question.
ain't gonna rat him out. Like, he at this point, dude, he already knows, like, I'm kind of an apostate, and that's what kind of irritates him. You know what I mean? Like, he's always
Hmm.
like defending like the truth and the witnesses, like, and I don't really go in hard on him, Jesse. Like, you know what I mean? You know what it is to go in hard on somebody like is an apostate, like really like give them all these facts and all that. Like, I go easy. Like, I'll just say like one or things here, like about the beards. I'm like, oh, I noticed you have a beard now. Like, oh, yeah, like remember? I was like, remember you had to shave your beard when you got reinstated in 2019? He's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, what do you think? Like,
Actually, you can
why do you
have your
think they
beard
let you have a
now.
beard now? And he was like, well, the organization, like, Jehovah's leading this organization, and like, we don't know like what's gonna happen, but the brothers are leading us. You know what I mean? He's like one of those kind of guys.
Well, hey, listen. If anyone wants any concluding words, all of you, everyone can take a turn. But I promised Rick I'd cut the show down for him.
Oh
So I'll
yeah,
Oh,
keep
yeah.
my word. Unless he comes in otherwise. But I'm getting kind of tired anyways. But it's 1 o'clock
I'll give
his
my
time.
time over to Jesse if he wants it. And
All right, Jesse,
I
you got
just want
any?
to say thanks,
And then
Jesse,
we'll go to
and
Eli next.
Eli, for coming on tonight. Both
I'll
of you
just say
Yeah,
guys. I
that.
and thanks
consider
for
you guys
coming.
both
Thanks
brothers.
for coming on,
You have a
Gary.
good night.
I
Yep.
just
I'm
All
gonna
right.
contest my time over to those guys so they can split it up. Good night.
Good night.
All right. Good night, brother.
I was just gonna answer Jerry, JP, that I always found that those brothers that were tattletales or rats or whatever we want to call them, they're the worst. Especially the ones that like this guy who's pulled me physically out but mentally in, because they'll do anything to stay in. Like they want to live with the flesh, but then they want to have information on everybody else. So when they get into a judicial committee, they can start ratting people out. I always found those brothers are the worst. So if I had any recommendation to JP, keep away from that guy. That guy sounds toxic to me, or he's just a dangerous dude. He hasn't found out where he wants to be in life. Yeah.
Well, we love hanging out with you too, Becky. Thank you so much.
Yeah. That's it for me too. That's all I want to say. Had a good night.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Jesse. It's hey, somebody on here. I lost it.
I agree with you,
Somebody on here
Jesse. He's kind of
was
a
asking if your
toxic guy,
brother
so I got to be aware of that.
does
Thank you.
Yeah.
does
Thank you.
does your brother have a show tonight? Somebody was asking.
No, I think Gilbert is a little depressed tonight because our sister's anniversary,
Oh,
and so
I'm sorry, Gilbert.
yeah, I think maybe he just wants to be alone, probably.
I feel that that happens to me too a lot of times. But
Yeah.
anything you wanted to leave with, Eli, before we take off?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we as former Jehovah's Witnesses, we've been hurt by our families, whether it be physically or emotionally, and it really it is tough to process through that and like come to you know a, a conclusion where we can be comfortable. So I would challenge people to like almost not be comfortable. You want to continue to move forward in life. You want to continue to move closer to God and
Sure.
struggle against the really the lies that the devil has told your family and us for many years.
Yeah, your kid agrees.
Yeah, because like
Looks like he was
you
like,
know,
yeah, or something like it.
mm-hmm. And
Yeah, I
really
agree, brother.
for our children to like not repeat those mistakes. Like it's almost like breaking out of this weird like toxic abusive uh, relationship or childhood that we all, not everyone, but like some people
Yeah.
have struggled with. And so it's like, okay, but now that I have children, I can't just repeat that. I have to move beyond that and do better for my children because hey, it's not my son's fault.
Right. No, I understand. Good point, brother. Oh, well, thanks for coming on tonight. I really do appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. You know,
Yeah, it was
it's
fun.
always
I
it's
just
always an honor having you on, buddy.
I can't always be on here because
Understandable.
he's on here long hours, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's 12 o'clock my time. That's not too bad, but
yeah. It's 10 o'clock
it's
my time,
one
but I
Rick's
got
time. Yeah,
Rick is a
California.
trooper, man.
Yeah, he
Yeah, I'm
is.
West Coast.
I gotta. He's probably getting tired. I better let him go.
Yeah. All right, I
But
got church. Y'all
you
have
take care, brother.
a good night.
You too, and love to your family, and you take care, my man.
Bye bye, everyone.
All right. Well, I'll wrap it up here and say thank you, everybody, to Becky and John, Dehydrated Nurse. I did want to end with Dehydrated Nurse. I tried to talk about what you went through a little bit, and I'm really sorry that uh, you're for someone like myself who has hemophilia and has been around nurses my whole life and appreciates a good nurse. I'm sorry that you were on the front lines and got hurt from the shot, and I am sorry what happened to you, and I appreciate what you did for patients like myself over the years, showing kindness to us. But we love you, and I love my entire audience, and Debbie Moore, of course, who's healing, and we got Mappa, what is that? Mappalini 66. Hello or good morning. Andy Fugazi, thank you for being here. Johnny Christian, Johnny the Greek. Let's see, Gigi was on here a little bit. Little Lars, I could keep going, but my boy from Australia. But thank you, everybody. I love you, and I'm here for you guys. If it wasn't for my audience, I don't really have much to say. I try to start the conversations, and then uh, I what gives me going is you guys. So thank you for all your participation, and Jerry, I love you too, man. And take care, everyone. Y'all have a great night. Be safe, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.